process, and we are almost concluding. And the moment that is done, then the pensions will be processed more or less like 2 weeks. So it is something that we are acting on. We are aware, we are alive to that challenge, and we are addressing it. Thank you.
Senator Kinyua.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I just wanted to hear the comment of the Cabinet Secretary concerning very serious issue raised by the audit.
Senator Abbas.
Honorable, thing that on the CS, in relation to delays of pensions. In the past, we used to have this where the aged they have been told to go to banks, and some of these guys don't even have enough money to even take place, so that this senior citizen can be able to access their money easily. Is there a plan for you to develop? One other thing is, why don't you have some treasury, pension offices in some part of the regions? So at least they can be able to take money from the regional places. Two,
Senator Abbas, you are entitled to only one. Senator Karungo Thangwa, Senator Mudama, Honorable CS, you may proceed to respond.
On the question that was asked, is it really working? Okay. It's much better. Now, on the question by Senator Kinyua on the NSSF, I guess this is a question relating to the list by Auditor General or the Office of the Auditor General regarding the investment by NSSF on some government bonds, and that has some challenges. First, I wish to state that pension funds have some kind of independence in terms of managing the pension investment, and they have they recruit custodians and fund managers to do that and advise them on how to invest, where to invest. So if there are mistakes that they committed in terms of investment, then there is a process to deal with that. As the Auditor General has flagged it out, and already I would only wait for the Parliamentary Committee to conclude its work, make recommendations. That is Public Investment Committee of the National Assembly, I think. Make a selection regarding policy direction that the National Treasury needs to put in place to deter any future involvement. Because again, in terms of actions for someone who has deliberately, if there is any deliberate act, then that we have relevant departments and offices dealing with that. On the issue of pension officers being deployed, we are trying to move away and make this work, this whole question of managing pension be automated. And so we are having a self-service portal we are putting in place that they don't have to move. The pensioners don't even have to move anywhere. Even at the comfort of their homes, they can access almost all the services that they need without going, including if they have a system of accessing their banks. They would just file documents and start withdrawing money to their phones from the bank, and it becomes very easy. And we have also put in place services at Huduma centers to support this. Thank you. I think that's what I would say on this. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. We shall now move to question number 79 by the Honorable Senator Karen Nyamu.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I would want to ask this question on behalf of Senator Karen Nyamu. The questions are as follows. Question number 079. 1, could the Cabinet Secretary state the medium-term strategy to reduce the fiscal deficit from 4.9% to a sustainable level? Number 2, what measures is the ministry undertaking to support counties, noting that 2025 budget policy statement project GDP growth at 5.3% and stable inflation, yet county governments face a contracting fiscal space and rising costs? 3, what interventions is the ministry implementing to address the pending bills crisis in the county governments, particularly in Nairobi County, where pending bills have accumulated to approximately Kenya shillings 121 billion, and what mechanisms are being enforced to ensure timely settlement for supplier debts and prevent further accumulation? 4, how does the National Treasury plan to manage increased domestic borrowing by the government without crowding out private sector credit and stifling economic growth in light of constrained external financing and the lapse of the International Monetary Fund, Extended Fund Facility, and Extended Credit Facility, and program signed in April 2021? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Now, Honorable CS, we have 15 minutes, which is also to allow supplementary questions from honorable senators. So kindly paraphrase. We already have your substantive response. Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker,
we also work on creating documents, feature stories, explainer videos, 3D animation, and anything media related. We also offer consultation on media related topics. Our work is timely, professional, and very affordable. So talk to us, soundcandytalk@gmail.com, or you can call us on 07 18 45 45 85.
That came down to 6.2% of GDP. 22-23, it came down to 5.6. 23-24, you see we are coming down. We came down to 5.3, and now we are at 5.1, and we want to move to 4.5 continuously, and in the medium term, we'll be at 2.7. So that is what the reduction of budget deficit will help us on debt sustainability. But then, that can only be realized through fiscal consolidation. Fiscal consolidation here simply means, one, you enhance revenue collection. And that is why we are working on Kenya Revenue Authority, automating their processes and procedures to make sure that we enhance efficiency and effectiveness of that institution. But also, we are working on the other side of managing expenditure. And managing expenditure and managing prudence in use of public funds. Mr. Speaker, I want to report here that one step that we have taken to ensure that our revenues are realistic, because that is one area that has resulted over the years in over budgeting, which has given us high fiscal deficit. We revised 2025-26 revenue estimates down from 3 trillion and 18 billion to 2 trillion 757 billion. For the first time, Mr. Speaker, I'll report to you that the National Treasury's estimate of ordinary revenue is below the estimate by Parliamentary Budget Office. For the first time. It has always been that the Treasury estimates are higher. So we are doing that to make sure that we are realistic. So on the revenue side, let me brush over or move to expenditure. Some of the things that we are doing to ensure that we cut on expenditure. And again, I want to report here that we reduced our expenditure based on the BPS that was approved by 120 billion, just to live within our means. So we are taking steps to actualize fiscal sustainability. The government will sustain efforts to strengthen accountability, transparency, and a revenue mobilization path by the medium-term revenue strategy. We are also strengthening expenditure control and improving efficiency and effectiveness in public spending. That is why on 7th of April, I officiated the launch of e-procurement system to maximize value for money and increase transparency in procurement. From 1st of July, all government procurements will be done through e-procurement platform, and no one else will be given excuse. Over 3,000 MDAs will all be onboarded, and the onboarding is going on, and we are even training the suppliers, the contractors on the use of this system. We have also implemented zero-based budgeting approach for this financial year for the first time. We have also operationalizing the assets and inventory management modules in our IFMIS for all MDAs. In order not to crowd out the private sector in the provision of public services, the government is scaling up the use of public-private partnership framework for commercially viable projects. A number of projects are lined up for PPP. Rironi Mau Summit is one case. We are also thinking and working and moving forward with SGR that will largely be on PPP. The Galana Kulalu project is there, one of the PPP projects. A number of projects under the energy sector is especially the energy transmission are also being implemented under the PPP system. The government is also piloting a new human resource management system, which will be rolled out to all national government ministries and departments, as well as all county governments, in order to improve the management of the wage bill, including statutory payroll deductions. In view of the constrained fiscal environment, prioritization during resource allocation will be critical in ensuring low priority expenditure are dropped or deferred to give way to high priority service delivery programs. So ministries, MDAs are therefore required to reevaluate all the existing or planned activities, projects and programs to be funded in the financial year of 25-26, and that we did. Now, strategies, Mr. Speaker, I could go on and on in terms of talking about managing our debt, because it is a very wide topic, but I think those are some of the salient features of what we are implementing. On strategies to manage county government funding constraints, first, there is a reason for funding constraints. One is the low ordinary revenue collections over the years. And Honorable Speaker, it is important to note that over the period 2016-2017 to 2024-25, actual ordinary revenue has always been below target, except for 2021-22. And hence, such shortfalls in actual ordinary revenue collections have led to constraints in county government's funding. This is real, Mr. Speaker, because we budget, but the resources become a challenge when we don't meet the revenue targets. The need to finance mandatory expenditures under Article 203 of the Constitution, the government has an inevitable need to finance mandatory expenditures under Article 203 of the Constitution. Such expenditures relate to national interest programs such as the security modernization, strategic interventions. This leads to fiscal deficit in financing other major national government functions, which has always occasioned additional borrowing, which continues to distort our fiscal framework. And again, I want to say that the national government continues to solely bear shortfalls in revenue in any given financial year, as has always been demonstrated. This is largely due to a relatively stable but still high exchange rate to the dollar, as well as high interest rates in the domestic markets. Public debt services in 25-26 will account for about 52% of ordinary revenue, which is higher than the average of 41% over the period from 2017 to 2024-25. So we are going up in terms of percentage of our ordinary revenue that goes towards settling the public debts or servicing public debt. What strategies is the ministry taking to manage county government's funding constraints? The national government, through National Treasury, is managing funding constraints to county government using a variety of strategies. By utilizing these strategies in a comprehensive and coordinated manner, the National Treasury has therefore been able to effectively manage funding for county governments and the efforts to deliver services and promote development, despite the prevailing fiscal constraints due to expenditure pressures and public debt consumption above. The strategies enumerated below aim to ensure that county governments have the financial resources they need to fulfill their responsibilities and deliver services to Kenyan citizens. One is the conditional and unconditional allocations to counties. We have continued to give additional allocations to counties which are earmarked for specific programs or projects as defined by the central government. They provide targeted funding for special policy goals or initiatives, and these additional allocations can ensure that certain areas are prioritized and that funding is allocated in a way that aligns with national priorities. However, the county government's additional allocations bill has always been passed by Parliament late towards the close of financial year, thereby denying counties additional funding for programs under national priorities such as county aggregated and industrial parks program and community health promoters. We have a problem even absorbing this year's budget, county additional allocations, Mr. Speaker, because of how long it took between the two houses to agree. So promoting local revenue generation in the form of own source revenue, again here the National Treasury has been empowering county governments to generate their own revenue through taxation and other means. This is meant to increase the autonomy and fiscal sustainability of county governments to alleviate the risks associated with over-reliance on equitable share to find essential services. The National Treasury has finalized the development and piloting of own-source revenue forecasting tools for counties to help them expanding their revenue bases, thus allowing them to implement realistic charges, levies, and fees geared towards raising more revenues. It is expected that this own-source revenue system generation will strengthen county government's autonomy and promote fiscal sustainability. Number 3 is promoting transparency and accountable financial management. The National Treasury is committed to ensuring that funding in counties is used effectively and efficiently so that county governments are accountable for the use of public funds. The National Treasury therefore urges counties to adhere to the clear guidelines for the allocation and use of funds through promoting transparency by making financial information readily available to the public as in the norm at the National Treasury. And I hope this House will help in realizing this. Implementing strong monitoring and evaluation systems, that is also something else. And finally, building partnerships with county governments. The National Treasury and Economic Planning has continued to foster collaboration between the national government and county governments to improve service delivery and promote development. The Office of the Cabinet Secretary continues to engage in regular dialogue with the Council of Governors through regular meetings and forums to discuss policy issues and share best practice. Some of these forums are even informal, Mr. Speaker. And we have a very good working relationship with the Council of Governors led by the chair, who is also my professional colleague. Further, the National Treasury continues to supporting collaborative project financing through joint projects between the national governments, ministries, departments and agencies and county government, such as KIPES and CHPs, among others. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, allow me to thank you once again for this opportunity to engage with you together with the honorable members. Thank you very much.
Senator Chute.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Very quick questions. I wanted to know from the CS what interventions is the ministry implementing in regards to pending bills, where you will find one pending bill that has been passed by the county assembly, and then the governor has his own list. And this comes to COB, and the governor's list will be paid. The one that has been passed by the county assembly is yet to be paid. But two is on the issue of diversion of funds. When a contractor or a supplier is supposed to be paid by the county government, and the money is requisitioned from COB, and at the end of the day, that money goes to another contractor, different contractor, not the contractor or supplier who was requisitioned for. So how is the ministry going to deal with this matter? Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable CS.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think the two questions are linked together. They're very related, where you find that the requisition is made through the normal system, through the control of budget, and yet the payment is given or paid to someone else or another contractor or to pay another bill. This is a problem that is very pronounced in counties from what I gather. And as we are actually, we are working on a tool, a system that will be used by both the national government and the county governments to ensure that the bill, what has been approved, is actually what is paid for, and also to ensure that bills are prioritized in terms of first in, first out. Because again, there's a lot of favoritism and discretion by governors. So that, I mean, by decision makers at the counties and at the national government. But even as we do that, I think the control of budget has capacity and tool. What we need control of budget to exercise or do is to make sure that their approval is respected, so that they rein on the county governments. The Auditor General can also be taking the approvals from the control of budget and use it to audit the actual expenditure. And then I also want to ask this Honorable House, the Senate, that this is also an area where you can help. I know you have helped before, but I think you can help more by ensuring that it's not even micromanaging, by ensuring that what has been approved is what is actually paid. Because these cases are too much. They are reported, we live in this country, we hear about them, and nothing seems to be happening to stop this, which I call actually illegal diversion of funds. Because if control of budget has approved money to be spent on a particular manner, that is how it should be spent. It should not be spent in a different manner at all. So we, as National Treasury, are working on a system that would ensure that payments are made in line with the approval. As that is being done, I think we can still use the current system and supervision to help deal with some of these challenges.
Senator Sotsi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me start by congratulating the CS for the good work he's doing at the ministry, at the Treasury. Indeed, you are the expert that we have been talking about. I have two quick questions, Mr. Speaker. One is that the CS has talked about constraints in disbursing monies to the counties. And I would like to make reference to the disbursement schedule we passed last week to disburse money under additional allocation to the county. Maybe you can elaborate to this House what constraints you are facing. Because I spoke to my governor yesterday, and he told me that though we passed some monies, that money has not hit the account. Instead, there was a communication from the National Treasury about the further delay.
Go straight to the question, Honorable Sotsi.
So what are these constraints the ministry is facing, particularly in disbursing the money under additional allocation that we passed the disbursement schedule last week? Number two.
Honorable Gosotsi.
Yes.
Understanding Order 51C 7B, you're entitled to ask only one supplementary question,
Okay, very
which
well.
you have.
Very well,
Honorable
Mr.
CS, proceed to respond.
The constraints generally would be on cash flow challenges, especially where the funding is from GOK, and more particularly where we fail to meet the revenue targets by KRA. And I will tell you that we have so much demands. At times there are some months which are very bad, especially the months where we are paying loans. We are repaying loans. We usually have challenges in the month of January, February, very serious challenges in the month of May, and then July. Those are months where we repay the Chinese loan on SGR, and those are the same months like January where we pay capitation to schools, and the capitation to schools is at times almost 50 billion. And remember, every month we pay 80 billion salaries. So if you add 80 billion, you add to say that 40 billion, that's already 120, and you add that to debt repayments, we sometimes come to 50, 60, you're already beyond 200. And revenue collection in a month is averaging around 200 billion. Now that then puts a problem to funding the counties, puts a problem to funding other development expenditure. But I will tell you, we still work very hard to make sure that counties get priority in terms of funding. And sometimes we look at even the balances of counties and release some money. When we have limited resources, release some funds to some counties which have low balances. Those who still have high balances, we again tell them when they spend, we give. As we speak, we have paid up to end of April all the monies to all counties. But we have May still outstanding. And of course, we have June. And we have that constraint. Honorable Speaker, this year particularly, I think has been a terrible year. Apart from the fact that we had that economic shutdown, and I want honorable members to listen to me on this. Apart from the economic shutdown that we had for almost 2 months.
You have 1 minute, Honorable CS, to...
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. If you could add me 2 so that I could do 3. Just to explain this bit. The economic shutdown led to slowed economic growth in the country and failed meeting of our targets in terms of revenue collection. But we also did not conclude with IMF the 9th review. So we lost 765 million US dollars going to budgetary support. As we speak, the World Bank's funding, or BOP, seems to be going to July, because one of the things is that some of the legislations that were precedent to the release of these funds, Mr. Speaker, delayed in the legislative process. The conflict of interest bill was a key bill for World Bank to give us the funding. And when it was unlocked, there was no time to take our approval to the board. Now you see we are going to June 30th with 97 billion whole that I did not prepare for as Cabinet Secretary. Now, these are challenges, Mr. Speaker, which inhibit our release of funds. Even when sometimes National Assembly puts pressure on me on CDF, I don't even know what to do because the resources are constrained and we have to balance needs. Do you pay salary or you release money to CDF and release money to counties? Do you pay salaries or you stop paying salaries? Those are questions that you have to ask. You have debts to pay. You must pay those debts. If you default, the implication for our economy is dire. Remember, as I conclude, Mr. Speaker, the reason why we have tried very hard to make sure that we meet our obligations. There were 6 countries that were mentioned in 2021 by IMF as candidates for restructuring, as candidates for default. 5 have defaulted. It's only Kenya which has survived. Angola has defaulted, Ethiopia has defaulted, Ghana has defaulted, Chad has defaulted, and Zambia has defaulted. 5 economies out of 6, only Kenya has survived. I would want to urge and request this Honorable House to help support me, support the government, support my ministry, so that we don't fall to where these our contemporaries are fallen. And I am confident we are not going to fall. That is why sometimes you see some challenges, but we'll outlive these challenges, Mr. Speaker, with your cooperation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Senators. I'm afraid we may have to terminate our interrogation and interaction with the CS at that. Honorable CS, thank you so much. You are now free to leave. Clerk, you may usher the CS in charge of mining. Now, Honorable Senators, this morning we lost 30 minutes waiting for quorum. 30 minutes that we would have otherwise utilized to interact with the CS Treasury. And therefore, I urge you, we need not ring the bell for us to get a quorum. If you can be able and if you can purpose to be in the chamber by 9:30, then we'll have more time to interact with honorable CSs. Clerk, do we have the CS in charge of mining? Honorable CS, welcome to the Senate. You are here today to respond to 2 questions. Order, honorable senators. Please let us take our seats. We will start with question number 031 by the Senator for Kisumu County, the Honorable Professor Tom Ojenda. You may now proceed to ask the question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my question number 31 is in 4 parts. I have also received responses to the questions. I will ask the questions, but but I will save time because, Mr. Speaker, the responses are satisfactory, so the CS does not need to spend too much time responding. Mr. CS, the first question, part A, what regulatory framework exists for mining in Kenya, particularly regarding the safety of miners and prevention of child labor? And could the CS explain the attendant enforcement mechanisms? Part B, has the ministry conducted assessments or surveys to establish the extent of illegal gold mining operations in Kisumu County? And if so, could the CS disclose the findings and explain any efforts by the ministry to regularize illegal mining operations? Part C, what training or capacity building programs does the ministry offer to small-scale miners in Kisumu County regarding modern, safe, and sustainable mining practices in view of the various fatalities already recorded in various areas in Kisumu County? And lastly, could the Cabinet Secretary explain the steps taken by government to mitigate the negative environmental impacts of gold mining operations in Kisumu County? That's all, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable CS, you may proceed to respond. You need not read your response verbatim. You may like to paraphrase it so that we, in the interest of time, that is. You may proceed, Honorable CS.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. As indicated by Honorable Senator, that we have furnished with the relevant responses. I just wanted to assure the Senator or the House that indeed we are on course in training and capacity building on our artisanal miners and adhering to the regulatory framework and of course Mining Act 2016. Mr. Speaker, the Senator had asked on the preparation of the artisanal miners and capacity and licensing processes. I just wanted to inform the House that we have now formed cooperatives. We have undertaken capacity building. We are in line with our regulatory framework to ensure that they adhere to the regulations. So I am happy, Mr. Speaker, that the Honourable Member is satisfied with our responses. But generally, I want to assure the House that we are on course in capacity building, in creating safety nets, and ensuring restoration or rehabilitation of our mining, whatever activities that happen in all areas in our countries. Mr. Speaker, we've also deployed county mining officers to ensure that they work hand in hand with counties and communities so that we can adhere fully to the requirements of the law. So, in other words, we've not only decriminalized the artisanal activities, but we've also created processes of ensuring they adhere to the rule of law and also are supported accordingly, working with other partners such as NEMA, Ministry of Environment, and Ministry of Cooperative. Mr. Speaker, I submit.
Thank you. Senator Tom Ojenda, you may ask your 2 supplementary questions.
Mr. Speaker, I have no supplementary question to the CS. I'm satisfied with the response. Thank you, Mr. CS.
Senator Wambua.
That's a new one coming from Senator Tom.
Senator Professor Tom Ojenda. Allow your colleague to ask a question if you're satisfied.
In the broad-based, it's okay.
Honorable CS, you may take your seat and then note all the questions, because I'm going to allow a number of the senators to raise questions. Thereafter, you will respond to them at a go. Honorable Wambo.
The Speaker, the way Senator Tom is pointing at me, I'm not sure I'm safe. I want protection.
Senator Tom Agenda, I have noted your... Senator Tom Agenda, kindly resume your ordinary seat. Just proceed and do it quietly, please. Proceed, Senator Wambo.
Thank you, Speaker, for your protection. Speaker, my question flows from question B on illegal mining activities, and I wanted to find out from the CS if he is aware of the illegal extraction of copper in Kitui County, especially the area around Kitui West, called Mediko, and if he does not have the specifics about it, the Speaker, it's an issue that I'm willing to take up with the CS in due course. But is he aware that there are people that are illegally extracting copper from Kitui West in Kitui County? I think it's...
Senator Methu. Senator Mungatana.
Asante sana waziri. Kwanza nakupongeza kwa kazi unayofanya waziri, tunashukuru. Kuna hatua ulichukua sehemu ya Tana River na ukasimamisha uchimbaji wa madini ya gypsum. Na sisi tulitarajia ya kwamba waziri utafuatizia, uweke mikakati ili wale wananchi ambao wanafaidika kwa uchumi huo wa uchimbaji wa gypsum wapate haki yao, wawekezaji wapate haki yao, county government ipate haki yake. Lakini waziri, baada ya kuchukua hatua ile ambao sote tulipongeza, by the way, tumeona kwamba serikali kuu kutoka kwa ofisi yako mmenyamaza. Sasa tungependa kujua na watu wa Tana River wangependa kujua kunaendeleaje na mipangilio ni namna gani, na pale pia ilikuwa ni kitega uchumi na watu hali hizi wanataka kuishi. Asante waziri.
Senator Wakena.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my question to the Cabinet Secretary relates to mining royalties. Recently, Mr. Speaker, we had additional allocation of revenue, and some counties were allocated royalties, and I did not see any money being allocated to Narok County for additional allocation of revenue in terms of royalties. Yet Narok County has the majority of gold mining activities in the country. So my question to the Cabinet Secretary is that, does the Ministry of Treasury consult you to be able to give a list of the counties and how much has been collected in terms of royalties from the 47 counties, so that they make a decision on which counties to give money or it doesn't? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Boy Isa Juma.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika. Mimi nina swali ambalo nitakamuuliza Mheshimiwa Waziri kuhusu uvuvi, ambayo sehemu ya kule Vanga na Shimoni wavuvi wananyanyaswa sana na watu wa KWS.
Senator Isa, your supplementary question must flow from the primary question. So you may want to wait until the Waziri responds to the second question that is related to fisheries. Senator Edwin Sifuna.
Honorable Speaker, yesterday we had the opportunity to sit with the Governor Kwale at the County Public Accounts Committee. The question I wanted is been asked by Senator Olekina, that in fact the Governor Kwale confirmed they have never received royalties from this government. So maybe when he answers that question, he will answer us as well.
Senator Kenyuri.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would also wish to know from the Cabinet Secretary, in line with what Professor Tom Ojenda mentioned on capacity building, we have a soapstone mining activity which is more traditional, but I feel like the ministry is not giving it much attention like other mining, the other mining that happens in other counties, Mr. Speaker. So I would wish to know what other special consideration is being given to the soapstone cover miners in that region, Mr. Speaker, because that's an area which as a country we can explore. Thank you.
Senator Haji.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Cabinet Secretary had responded to the question by Senator Ojenda regarding environmental impact of miners. In his answer, he did elaborate that miners are required to come up with a management plan of the environment. Could the Senator elucidate further in terms of how ministry has taken action against miners who leave the environment in a very bad shape after they have conducted their business? Could the minister tell us in detail what the ministry or what measures the ministry is putting in place to ensure that the environmental impact left by the miners are adequately addressed? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable CS, you may respond, and you have 3 minutes to do so.
Mr. Speaker, if you allow me, I would like to start with the last question by Senator Haji, and I think it is an important one. One of the reasons as to why we've had to stop some mining operations, like the gypsum one, it is in the manner where the mining activities had been conducted earlier. Lands have been turned to barren land and abandoned quarries. And it is interesting because the pastoralist communities such as Garissa and Tana River and others suffer lots of losses because of losing livestock that fall into the pits. And that's one of the reasons that's why we have cancelled operations. What we are doing is to enforce. Initially, the ministry did not have an enforcement unit. We had a police unit, an AP unit, but now we have the CI unit that pursue those culprits that did that, and we're taking them through necessary action. So I want to assure you, Senator, there's some cause we are following. Senator Ekunyuri, you asked about soapstone. We treat all miners the same. Artisanal miners, a decision that was made is across all minerals. There's no specific treatment for specific mineral. So I just want to assure you, we have considered all minerals and all practices by artisanals. And all of them have been put in cooperatives and capacity build them so that they can be able to aggregate and access market easily. So even licensing, we use the same procedures, same protocols to ensure everybody gets licensed. Mr. Sifuna asked me about the royalties. I share your concerns, Senator. And I am already now negotiating with my committee of National Assembly to be able to undertake some reform, whereas when royalties are paid, they're disbursed to the rightful places on time, so that communities don't have to depend on Treasury. And obviously, I'll be consulting and seeking your support to be able to amend the law, so that if someone pays royalty, 70% goes to national government, 20% should go to counties, and 20% should go to communities. And CDAC, 1% gross, should directly go to the community. So this is a matter that requires reform in our law, and I'm already in discussion with the relevant committee at National Assembly, and I'll be looking forward to engaging you in Senate. Mr. Olekina, I'm not so sure whether you're right by saying Narok may be the biggest gold producer. We really don't have the data. But that said and done, you still deserve to be paid royalties on time. And Senator, I took the decision of terminating some of the licenses because of failure to comply with royalties payment. And I am glad that you worked with us in Narok and supported us. And now we're in the process of identifying good, reliable companies that will take the liabilities of the pre-reserve companies, pay the communities, fulfill the obligations, and be able to get a fresh license. So I also identify with your sentiments, and this is something that we're doing. Senator Makau, my brother, on Kitui mining, particularly on copper. Kitui is endowed with lots of resources, Senator, and copper is one of the most important critical mineral around the world today. And when we came in, we found that there was a lot of export of copper ore. We took a decision as a ministry. We stopped export of copper ore, and as we speak, there's not a single tonnage of copper that is exported, and therefore we are slowly managing extraction of our copper. What we are doing as a ministry today is to be able to consider the entire value chain, meaning if we have copper deposits in the country, we should be able to move it to copper concentrate and copper cathode to be able to achieve job creation and wealth creation. So, Senator, I assure you, the ones that had been mining earlier, we are pursuing them through our DCI unit. The ones that are doing today, we have now deployed districts mining officers to ensure there's no illegal activities, and we are working with the Ngaos in the districts so that we can be able to tame these mining illegal activities. The Senator for Tana River, Danson Mungatana, umeniuliza mambo ya gypsum, my brother, it is the same problem. Swala lilikuwa lile tu la uchimbaji mbaya wa madini. Na kampuni mingi ambao reapply haziwezi kuqualify kwa sababu waliwacha the mines walikuwa nazo mapema kwa hali ambayo haistahili. So for Tana River tumeshapeana leseni kama 4 hivi za gypsum baada ya ushauriano na the local leadership, mjumbe, MCAs na by extension the county. So kuna operations ambaye imeanza about 4 companies. Nataka kuhakikishia kwamba shida ya mining ilikuwa, hiyo pia inahusisha na Garissa. Watu walikuwa wanachimba gypsum kutumia a mining permit. Mining permit huzungumzi na jamii. You don't need community consents to get a mining permit. Sasa tumegraduate hiyo ikuwe a mining license, whereas communities ni lazima wahusishwe. So I want to assure you, Senator Mungatana, that we are on course in ensuring people adhere to the rule of law and participation of the community. I submit, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable CS. We'll now move to question number 047 by the Senator for Senator Miraj Abdullahi. You may proceed to ask your question.
Asante mstahiki Spika, na mimi niulize swali langu nambari 47. Wizara imeweka mikakati ipi kuhakikisha ya kwamba wavuvi nchini Kenya wamepata mafunzo ya kisasa ili kuongeza mapato yao? Swali la pili, je, waziri anaweza kutoa maelezo kuhusiana na matumizi ya shilingi bilioni 1 zilizotolewa na idara ya masuala ya kimataifa ya serikali ya Canada, Global Affairs Canada, kufadhili mradi wa wanawake wanaoshiriki katika biashara za baharini maarufu kama Investing in Women in the Blue Economy in Kenya, IWBEC project, na kwa wazi majina ya kampuni na vikundi vilivyofaidika, kaunti wanazotoka, waliofaidika, fedha waliotu. Je, waziri anaweza pia kueleza ni hatua gani zinazochukuliwa na chuo cha Bandari Maritime Academy na mamlaka ya usimamizi wa bandari kuhakikisha kuwa vyeti vya mafunzo vinavyokabidhiwa na chuo hicho vinapata utambulizi kamili wa kimataifa? Asante.
Honorable CS, you may respond. Now, Honorable Senators, we have 15 minutes to give to this question. And therefore, Honorable CS, just like you did to the first question, paraphrase your response so that we allow as many senators as we can to ask some supplementary questions.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika. Wizara kupitia idara ya jimbo la uchumi wa buluu na uvuvi imeshiriki kikamilifu kutoa mafunzo kwa wafanyikazi wa samaki katika uvuvi wa bahari kuu kwa ajili ya kuzalisha ajira. Wizara vile vile uvuvi kama maboti na ujenzi wa bandari ndogo za uvuvi na kuweza kupatia bidhaa zinazostahili kuboresha biashara ya uvuvi katika maeneo ya jimbo la Pwani na katika maeneo ya jimbo ya Lake Victoria na Lake Turkana, na tukiendelea kuongezesha mbele. Swali la pili Mheshimiwa Spika ni kuhusu fedha za kuempower kina mama kupitia shirika la NGO kutoka nchi ya Canada. Mheshimiwa Spika, ripoti ambaye niko nayo ni kwamba shirika hili lilijituma likatafuta senti kutoka serikali ama wafadhili wa Canada takriban bilioni 1. Baada ya kutafuta hiyo wakaanza kupeana grants ama msaada kwa vikundi vya kina mama viliomo katika jimbo la Lake Victoria na jimbo la Pwani. Na habari ambaye wizara iko nayo ni kwamba walifanya vetting, wakatambua wale the beneficiaries na wakapeana mpaka sasa takriban milioni 400, vikiwemo vikundi vya Mombasa, vikundi vya Kwale, Kilifi, Lamu, Busia, Siaya, Kisumu, Homa Bay na Migori. Kile kitu ambacho ningependa kuambia nyumba hii Mheshimiwa Spika ni kwamba NGO inavyofanya kazi haihusishi sana vyombo vya serikali. So hatujaweza kupata the detailed expenditure ama ile pesa vile zitumika kikamilifu kwa wanawake ambao walisaidiwa na msaada huu. Lakini na maybe ni kualika tu Senate maybe to engage the NGO directly to maybe they'll open up more. But kwa sasa walitupatia habari ambazo tulizonazo kwamba wametumia pesa kiasi hii na vikundi kiasi namna hii vya Mombasa na vya Lake Victoria na Kilifi na kwengineo. Swali la tatu ni kuhusu Bandari Maritime Academy, vipi vinavyofanya mafunzo na recognition issues. Nataka kuambia Mr. Speaker kwamba Bandari Maritime Academy imekuwa whitelisted na IMO, which is a very good step forward. Kuanzia nchi yetu ambayo inahitaji kufanya sahihi ni ku negotiate na nchi zingine for recognition of our COCs or certificate of competencies. Nataka kuambia Mr. Speaker kwamba tumesha negotiate na nchi mingi tu. Kwa sasa tumesign na nchi 4, lakini hivi majuzi nilikuwa Denmark kushirikiana na my counterpart kule kusign. Tuna negotiate now na EU na the Americas largely so that we sign a memorandum of understanding katika recognition ya our learning institutions. But kitu cha muhimu ni kwamba we are whitelisted by IMO. So we are on the positive space. I submit.
Senator Miraj.
Bwana Spika, niruhusu kwanza nimpongeze waziri wetu kwa kuweza kuona kwamba vyeti vyetu sasa vinatambulika na mataifa 4 ikiwemo Korea. Juzi kati tumeona katika Facebook yao kwamba wameweza kusaini pamoja na Italy. Lakini bado Bwana Spika, nadhani swali hili nimeliuliza kwa mara ya pili. Niliuliza awamu ya Mvurya aliyekuwa waziri katika wizara hii na nimeliuliza tena. Na sababu ya kuliuliza swali hili ni kwamba jamii zetu za Pwani hazitononoki jumla ya kuwa tunaona kwamba my question is, swali langu ni hili kwamba jamii tunaona zinaendelea kupeanwa na hatuwajui wanaozipokea ni kina nani. Pili, kwenye upande wa uvuvi, ningependa kumuuliza waziri, ndugu zetu wanapopata ajali katika maji, wanapozama wakiwa kazini wanavua, kuna mikakati gani ya kuona ya kwamba wanapata chombo kama cha helikopta ili wakati ajali zile zinatokea wanaweza kukimbia na kuwapa huduma ya haraka ya kwanza? Asante Bwana Spika.
Waziri unaweza kujibu. Na waziri tu kukujuza ni kwamba ukiamua kujibu swali kwa Kimombo lazima uendelee kwa Kimombo, ukiamua kujibu swali kwa Kiswahili utaendelea na Kiswahili, usichanganye lugha hizo mbili wakati unajibu. Endelea waziri.
Asante kwa ujuzi Mheshimiwa Spika, ni jambo muhimu sana. Nilikuwa nalijua lakini tu vile maneno mengine na changamoto. Mheshimiwa Miraji, iko tofauti ya Mheshimiwa Spika utanisaidia, accountability, uwazi. Iko tofauti ya uwazi wa serikali na vyombo visokuwa vya serikali. Jawabu yangu hasa, kwa sababu swali lilouliza ni la NGO, lakini hii 1 billion ambayo umesema ni pesa ambayo imepitia NGO. Wamepata rasilimali kupitia serikali na ufadhili wa Canada. Sasa imekuwa changamoto kwetu kuwauliza hawa NGO watupatie sisi hisabu na uwazi, kwa sababu wako na tabia zao na mienendo yao. Lakini zile za serikali, Mheshimiwa Spika, niko tayari kuyaeleza kinaga ubwaga. Tumepeana takriban bilioni 3.2 kwa vikundi tofauti vya kina mama, vijana, kununua maboti. Tumenunua maboti 129 takriban. Tumejenga bahari za uvuvi chache 9 hivi. Sasa hii tunajenga katika Lake Victoria, tumejenga zingine 5 katika jimbo la Pwani na zingine bado zinaendelea na zingine tumeadvertise juzi na kadhalika. Kwa jambo la ajali, Mheshimiwa Senator, nataka nikwambie hata mimi wale watu ambao unaita watu wako ni watu wetu sisi wote. Na kwa sasa hivi ukienda Lamu, ukienda Mombasa, ukienda Kilifi, ukienda Kwale, utakuta tumewapatia boti la kuokoa watu la wepesi lenye kasi ya kisasa. Lakini nakubaliana na wewe katika mipango ya siku za usoni kwamba tunataka kuwekeza katika teknolojia mpya ya kutumia drones na kutumia, Mheshimiwa Spika aweza kusaidia drones, lakini drones na kutumania helikopta, ndege ya helikopta. Hiyo iko katika mipango. Hiyo ni katika mipango kabambe ambayo tumeweka, na tukitathmini kwa kina tunakuta kwamba hiyo ndiyo njia mwafaka ya kufuata. Na submit.
Senator Shakila Abdallah.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika. Kwanza nampongeza Mheshimiwa Waziri kwa kazi anayoifanya mzuri. Swali langu kwa waziri ni kuhusiana na mambo ya uvuvi haramu. Kuna uvuvi haramu unaoendelea kwenye bahari zetu na unaharibu mazingira, na sijui kama wizara ina mipango gani ya kuzuia uvuvi haramu unaoendelea. Na nikitoa mfano kama Lamu, kuna wavuvi wanatoka sehemu za Pemba wanaokuja kuvua kwa magesi na mashini na wanaharibu kabisa zile habitat za nyumba za uvuvi, hususan uvuvi wa lobster, makamba na kadhalika. Kwa hivyo tunataka kujua waziri, kuna mpango gani ambao umeweka wa kuzuia huo uvuvi haramu na kuweka inaitwaje kuhakikisha watu wanafanya patrol katika bahari kushika wale wavuvi ambao wanafanya uvuvi haramu. Asante Mheshimiwa
Senator John Yutu.
Asante Bwana Spika. Swali langu kwa waziri, nikubalie nitumie Kiswahili manake kimenoga leo. Swali langu kwa waziri ni je, kwa sababu ufugaji wa samaki ni kitega uchumi kizuri sana, je, wizara imeweka mikakati gani kuona kwamba ufugaji wa samaki na uvuvi haufanyiki tu mahali tulipo na maziwa ama bahari, na kwamba tunawafuga samaki pia katika maeneo hata ya huku bara, labda kwa kutengeneza hii mabwawa ya kufuga samaki, ili kwamba pia wanabara wakawa ni watu wanaofuga samaki na wanaokula samaki. Je, mikakati ni gani? Asante.
Senator Boy Isa Juma.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika. Kwanza napenda kumpongeza Mheshimiwa Waziri hivi juzi kule Migori kuhusu habari ya mambo ya uvuvi na hivyo soko mpya zilizojengwa. Mheshimiwa Spika, swali langu ambalo nitakamuuliza waziri hapa ni kwamba kule sehemu za kwetu, kule sehemu za Kwale, sehemu za Vanga, sehemu za Shimoni, sehemu za Mkwiro, hivi ni visiwa ambapo kuna wavuvi wanavua kule na vyombo vyao vya kuvulia ni vya zamani sana Mheshimiwa. Na ningependa kujua kutoka kwa waziri kama kuna mikakati gani ambayo inaweza kusaidia wale wavuvi waweze kupata vyombo vya kisasa, maneti na nini, kama vile wenzetu walivyopawa hivi juzi sehemu za Migori. Swali langu la pili ni kuhusu
Honorable Senator, under Standing Order 51C7B, you are entitled to ask only one supplementary question. Senator Morango.
Asante sana Mstahiki Spika. Mstahiki Spika, kulingana na orodha ya nakala ambayo tumepewa na waziri, kuangalia zile kaunti ambazo ziliweza kupata kufaidika na ule mgao ambao ulikuwa umepewa, hata kama ilikuwa ni fedha ya mashati kutoka Canada, kuna manziwa, baadhi ya manziwa makubwa, na moja wapo ni lile ziwa la Turkana, ambao pia wako na matatizo yao na wangependa kufaidika, na kwa sababu hawakuwa katika orodha ambayo tuko nayo siku ya leo, mipango gani ulio nayo waziri kuhakikisha kwamba wale wenyeji wa kaunti ya Turkana na Marsabit ambao ndio wenyeji wa ziwa Turkana wanafaidika pamoja na maziwa mengine 23 ambao tulio nayo hapa Kenya? Asante sana Mstahiki Spika.
Senator Eddie.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Proceed, we're short of time. Proceed, Senator Eddie.
Mr. Speaker,
in the language you're comfortable with. Proceed.
I'm not sure whether Senator Newt was
just proceed to ask the question, Honorable Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank the CS for great work that he did in the last 1 week in the counties that comprise the blue economy of Nyanza. And while I know that this question was addressed in journalistic conversation and rally conversations, apart from the good thing that he's doing there, I wanted to ask the CS, is there a budget and a strategy for having to make sure that there is proper equipment on the issue that Senator Miraj asked about accidents that we are seeing across the country in these lakes and as well as the oceans, where fishermen don't have proper equipment to take care of themselves? Because, Mr. Speaker, it's not just proper to help them when they have capsized, but
we
preventing.
The question has been registered.
Thank
Senator
you.
Chute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika. Watu wamepongeza waziri sana, lakini niko na shida kwa sababu mambo zote waziri ameongea ni kuhusu mahali pengine. Lake Turkana imesahaulika. Nataka kuuliza waziri, tuko na rasilimali Marsabit County, tuko na dhahabu ambaye inatoka Moyale, tuko na ziwa ya Turkana ambaye tunapeleka samaki kule Kongo. Ningetaka kuuliza waziri, atasaidia sisi namna gani kuhusu ziwa Lake Victoria, watu wetu wapate usaidizi ambaye wataweza kutoa samaki kwa njia ya haraka, na watu ya Moyale pia wanalia gold deposit yao iko huko. Kampuni imetoka hapa, kampuni imeenda kuchukua ardhi ya watu ya Moyale. Anachukua hatua gani kuhakikisha hiyo kampuni license imekuwa cancelled, waende mahali pengine watafute mahali ya kumine gold? Asante sana Honorable Speaker.
Senator Tabitha Mutendo.
Asante Mstahiki Spika. Ningependa pia mimi kumpongeza waziri wetu, tumeona akichapa kazi. Na swali langu ni rahisi, mstahiki Spika. Ningetaka kujua dhamana ya madini katika kaunti za Mashariki, haswa kule ambapo nimetoka, na pia mipangilio ambayo Wizara ya Madini inayo kuwezesha haya madini na dhamana ya madini katika kaunti ya Mashariki kuweza kunoga na kuweza kupanuka. Asante mstahiki Spika.
Senator Morgo.
Asante sana Bwana Spika. Ningependa kuuliza waziri juu ya uchimbaji wa migodi ama gold katika West Pokot, kama anajua uharibifu unaoendelea, kwamba shimo zinachimbwa kila pahali bila watu kujali kufunika. Ya pili, wanapeleka mchanga.
Senator Morgo, your question has been registered. Don't add another one. You're not entitled to that. Honorable CS, you may proceed to respond. You will note that these questions are related, so I believe you can respond under 2 minutes so that we conclude this. Proceed, Honorable CS.
Mheshimiwa Spika, maswali yameulizwa ni maswali ya muhimu sana katika hali ya kulinda rasilimali ya kitaifa. Na kwa ujumla tu nafasi ya rasilimali isipotumika inaweza kutumika kiuharibifu. Na ndio maana tumeweka mikakati kabambe. Kwa mfano kama kaunti ya Lamu, sahihi tukiwa tunazungumza, tunapanga mipango ya kutengeneza maboti ya kuenda masafa marefu, na yakirudi tuwe na bandari hasusan za samaki kuweza kuwasaidia katika utengenezaji samaki na kuhifadhi. Swali lingine la muhimu nimeulizwa, kwa nini tunaangalia tu maeneo ambayo yako na maziwa ama bahari. Umuhimu tuelewe kwamba hii ile Center of Excellence ambayo tuko nayo iko hapa Nyeri, hapa Sagana, ambayo inafanya uzalishaji wa samaki na utafiti na mafunzo ya samaki. Na Mheshimiwa Spika, naweza kukupatia mshtuko kiasi kwamba ujue hata hii Nairobi samaki wengi ambao wanakuja katika soko hili ni samaki ambao wanafugwa katika maeneo ambayo hakuna ziwa na bahari. Na ile habari mzuri zaidi, siku zingine nitawaalika katika maeneo ya Kakamega na niwaonyeshe vile watu wanafuga, kina mama wanafuga samaki na baadaye wanawapeleka katika kiwanda, wanatengenezwa, wanakuja katika maeneo haya. So rasilimali ya uchumi wa blue, Mheshimiwa Spika, ni kubwa sana. Na ukweli wa mambo ni kwamba hatujawahi kuipatia kipaumbele ambacho kinastahili. Lakini sahihi tuko na mikakati kabambe ya kueleweka. Kwanza kuwapatia uwezo wavuvi na jamii zinazoishi katika maeneo hayo, na kuwafunza wanaishi katika maeneo tofauti mbinu na namna za kuweza kupata faida katika maeneo haya. Mheshimiwa Spika, hayo ndio yale maswali uliuliza Kiswahili. Sasa ingine ni Eddie. Eddie had asked a question on budget and strategy and equipping, particularly in the area of Lake Victoria and matters rescuing and searching. I want to assure you that our ministry has a budget. We have a contractor on site. We're building the first state-of-the-art search and rescue center in Kisumu, and we are going to equip it with equipment that will fit into the demands of the moment. So I realize, and I have had a conversation with a lot of critical players in the industry, and the number of our fisherfolk that we lose every year is shocking and unbelievable. And we cannot attempt to deploy the same strategy and achieve different results. So you are right on developing a strategy that works, what would work today. So air rescue is critical. I had already directed, and the President is in concurrence with our plan, that we must deploy air rescue in the Lake Victoria and in the coastal region, of our Indian Ocean. Mr. Speaker, we have a responsibility of ensuring we secure our valuable resources as a country. Blue economy is one, and mineral is the other. For far too long, we've had a lot of illegal activities in all those areas. In Pokot, for example, in Turkana, in Migori is even worse, in Kwale, in Taita Taveta, in Tarakanidi here, where we are blessed with critical future minerals. We have people all over the place doing some illegal activities. But I can tell you, we are on a mission to ensure we follow them, we pursue them, not just to arrest them, but also pursue their accounts so that we can confiscate their gains illegally and make it public property. We have completed our area geophysical survey. We know our currencies as a country. We know which minerals we have, where they are. What the ministry is doing today is a narration on our ground truthing. The asset in terms of value, in terms of viability, and whether it makes sense for a larger investment. So I want to assure the House, Mr. Speaker, is that we have a plan, and we are sticking to the plan, and we are executing the plan. Where we need to possibly reform our laws, I'll come back here and consult with my relevant committees. My chairman, Eddie, a wonderful young senator from Migori, a man that I know very well. We work well together. We will work to ensure that at committee level, at the Senate, we engage to reform so that we meet the current demands going into the future. I submit, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you so much, Honorable CS. Honorable Senators, we will terminate our interaction with the CS at that. Honorable CS, you may leave at your own pleasure. Thank you. We will now move to question number 001. Clerk, kindly usher in the Honorable CS. Clerk, can you confirm that CS Energy is present? Thank you. We will now proceed with question number 001 by the Senator from Marsabit County, the Honorable Mohammed Chute. Honorable Senator, you may proceed to ask.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. My question is question 001. If you'll allow me, I start with question A. Would the Cabinet Secretary explain why Tari Adi, Dub Gindole, Dogogicha, Isako Muro, All Gabraskim, Saleswa Rio, Konso Banchale, and other villages in Marsabit County remain without electricity connection despite the installation of electricity transformers in those villages? Question B, what steps has the government taken on operationalization of all electricity transformers installed across Marsabit County? Question number C, could the Cabinet Secretary also indicate the level of access to electricity in Dugoba, Garkarsa, Waluduba, Manyata Konso, Karatina, Kofiambaya, Parkishon, Lakartinya, Nasikakwe, and in Marsabit County, and explain why the government is doing so, to achieve what is the government doing in achieving full electricity coverage in those villages? Question D, Honorable Speaker, what is the status of requests for installation of electricity transformers and extension of electricity connection in Ilpus, Kituruni, Kubagasa villages in Marsabit County? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Welcome, Cabinet Secretary, and please you can proceed and answer.
Thank you, the Honorable Speaker. First, for your indulgence, I was supposed to have been here first thing in the morning, but I did agree with my colleague, CS Mbadi, that we swap the times because he had some other engagement elsewhere. Honorable Speaker, before I go to specific questions by the Honorable Senator Mohammed Chute, let me make some general statement that Marsabit County is among those counties, especially in the northern corridor and parts of coastal region, that have for a long time suffered historical marginalization. The county of Marsabit, among other counties in that region, have been left behind by the successive administrations since our independence. And this has made them not to be able to compete effectively with the rest of the country, and especially on matters electrification. And that's why this administration under President William Ruto has taken a deliberate step to ensure that affirmative action is applied to bring parity, to achieve equity, insofar as development is concerned, generally, but specifically to ensure that matters electrification is dealt with in an equitable manner. Honorable Speaker, therefore, this administration has adopted a multi-pronged approach, and specifically for Marsabit County. This entails, first and foremost, ensuring that Marsabit County is connected to the national grid. We want to ensure that Marsabit County is connected to the national grid for the first time since independence. And how? One, by constructing a transmission line 45 kilometers from Loyangalani wind power farm to Loyangalani town. A project that has delayed inordinately but project that we are now able to commit that come December this year shall be complete and we shall commission it. Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker. That will enable Loyangalani town and its environs to enjoy power, quality, affordable, and reliable power for the first time from the national grid. Honorable Speaker, it is not conceivable that power can flow all the way from Loyangalani wind farm, all the way from Loyangalani to Susua, here in Narok, bypassing the entire swath of Marsabit land. It's not conceivable. That is what we want to correct under this administration, Honorable. Honorable Speaker, secondly, we want to unlock the very, very important transmission line project that runs all the way from Loyangalani to Marsabit and equally from Isiolo to Marsabit. By doing so, we shall actually make it possible for power from the national grid to extend to most parts of Marsabit County. That project, which is being financed by Exim Bank of India, is at the tail end of actually conceptualization. What has delayed it a bit is just the matter of the scoping, which had to happen. And we are more than convinced, because as we speak, Exim Bank is going through the paperwork. And we are more than convinced that before the end of this year, we shall do a groundbreaking. That is another commitment I want to make to not only Senator Mohammed Chute and not only the people of Marsabit County, but to the people of the Great Republic of Kenya. Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, Marsabit County, which is comprising of 4 constituencies, that is Saku, Moyale, North Hor, and Laisamis, has got one of the most interesting disparities, if I may call it so. Because in terms of access to electricity, Saku, because of its sheer size, the smallest of the constituencies, is seen to be having a high access, about 60-something%. Yet, when you go to the extreme side, extreme end, North Hor and Laisamis, it is 1.2% and 1.8% access rate. That is serious, massive disparity that this administration has made deliberate plans to address through the efforts we have put in place. Honorable Speaker, Marsabit County has been deliberately placed among the 14 counties that are benefiting from the Kenya Off-Grid Solar Access Program or project, the COSAP. And Marsabit County alone has benefited or is benefiting from about 1 billion shilling worth of those projects, about 10 mini-grids covering across the width and breadth of the county, okay? And some 6 or so boreholes, Honorable Speaker. So allow me, therefore, and I've already spoken to my good friend, the Honorable Senator, Mohammed Chute, that I will be engaging him further, offline, over and above this formal presentation. I'll be engaging him further, together with other leaders from the county, to ensure that we fast these projects. That is one of the commitments that I have to make before this Honorable House. So therefore, Honorable Speaker, allow me, I don't want to actually belabor the point, because there are answers. On question number 1, which is question 6 in the order paper. Okay, that's fine. I'll just proceed. In terms of reasons why those areas that have been listed, okay, remain without electricity connection, despite the installation of electricity transformers in the said villages. Honorable Speaker, REREC, which is our implementing agency, has mapped out and undertaken preliminary works, that is survey and design, of a number of the areas for the implementation in the current financial year, and others for consideration in the next financial year, of course, subject to budgetary provisions. And details of the actual status of the areas are shown in the table 1 in my response. I don't want to belabor that. Honorable Speaker, part 2, the steps the government is taking to operationalize all the electricity transformers installed across Marsabit County. I want to say that a total of 8 schemes are in different stages of metering in the county. And upon completion, approximately 800 customers will be onboarded. And all the associated transformers will be commissioned in order to realize the benefits anticipated by the government of Kenya. In addition, some parts of Marsabit County have witnessed insecurity cases, which has caused movement and hence leaving the already installed transformers fairly idle. The government is engaging various stakeholders to foster peace and restore normalcy. Part 3 is about access levels of electricity to those areas mentioned in that question, okay? And what the government is doing to achieve full electricity coverage in those villages. Again, in line with what I've said in my opening remarks, Honorable Speaker, the status of electrification and electricity access in the above villages is as shown in table 2 of my response, Honorable Speaker. The identification, scoping, and electrification of unelectrified areas is an ongoing activity until universal electricity access is achieved. We don't want a situation where we talk about universal access by 2028 or 2030, Honorable Speaker. And yet, many parts of the country, especially from northern Kenya, are left far behind. So that is what we want to correct. Part 4, Honorable Speaker, the status of the request for installation of electricity transformers in those 3 villages. Honorable Speaker, the status of electrification in the above villages is as shown in table 3 of my report, Honorable Speaker. And that is as far as the first question is concerned.
Thank you very much, Cabinet Secretary. Senator Mohammed Chube, would you prefer to ask your second question and then ask supplementaries thereafter? If we can combine questions.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Let me ask my second question, and then I will ask my supplementary questions thereafter. Honorable Speaker, my question number 068. A, why has the last mile connectivity program not been implemented in the entire Marsabit County, despite similar programs being successfully rolled out in most parts of this country? Question B, what steps has the government taken to ensure Loyangalani, Kargi, Kor, Forole, and all other areas in Marsabit County without electricity are connected? C, could we provide details on funds allocated for last mile connectivity projects so far in Marsabit County, the contractors involved, and the project timeline for their completion? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Cabinet Secretary.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Before I respond, let me just make a clarification. I did mention about the transmission line project from Loyangalani to Marsabit and Isiolo Marsabit. It is being financed by the Exim Bank of China, not India. And the company which is contracted is the China Water and Engineering Company. Thank you. Honorable Speaker, the first limb of the question is about why the last mile connectivity program has not been implemented in the entire county, despite similar programs being successfully rolled out in most parts of the country. Again, an issue I've talked about at length in my opening remarks. But let me say this, that since the inception of last mile connectivity projects, the government of Kenya has implemented a total of 29 projects worth some Kenya shillings 30.1 million. and connected 1,466 customers to the grid in Marsabit County. The details of the connected customers across the various constituencies is as shown in the table 5, of my response. And Annexure 1, which is attached, provides the breakdown of ongoing projects in the county. So the steps the government is taking to ensure Loyangalani, Kargi, Kor, Forole, and all other areas in Marsabit County without electricity are connected. Again, Honorable Speaker, the status in the above villages is as shown in table 4 on page 7 of my response, Honorable Speaker. At 3, details of the funds allocated for the last mile connectivity projects so far in Marsabit County, the contractors involved, and the projected timelines for their completion. Honorable Speaker, over and above the completed schemes, the government of Kenya has allocated some Kenya shillings 4.5 million for last mile connectivity via grid solution as per the table on page 7. The target completion date is Q1 of the financial year 25-26. The government of Kenya has further allocated Kenya shillings 2.0579 billion, approximately US dollar 158.3 million, for connectivity via off-grid solution, as per the table on page 8. The sites are currently being handed over to the various contractors, and the target completion date is the end of financial year 25-26. The annexures 2 and 6 provide a breakdown of all projects funded in Marsabit County at various stages of implementation. Honorable Speaker, I submit.
Thank you very much, Cabinet Secretary. Senator Chute, supplementary questions?
Honorable Speaker, I'm really impressed by the CS, and I don't have any further supplementary question. I will follow whatever questions I'm going to have. I'll be having a meeting with him, maybe on Tuesday, and thank you very much, CS. I really appreciate what you've done. You've done a very good job. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Eddie Okech.
Mr. Speaker, just to steal 30 seconds from Senator Chute, that today it was the experts who are coming in the House, and you've seen that a number of, in all instances, very well, to the extent that there is no supplementary questions. But that said, Mr. Speaker, I wanted to ask the CS for energy on its last mile connectivity project. Is there a proper strategy that integrates the prioritization of projects with areas that are facing serious insecurity and they are remote areas that then needs a bit of lightening to be a bit of lighting those villages and homes to be able to deal with the insecurity? In particular, Mr. Speaker, for Migori County, if you look at an area like Gwitembe, where we have got in Kuria, Mr. Speaker, there is no proper electricity in those areas. If you look at a place called Apida in Migori Town, a place called Mabera in Suna East, Mr. Speaker, as well as a few pockets of areas that I would be very keen on, like Wangirabosa, as well as places in Kokelo, in central Kanyamkago, and lastly in Rongo and Awendo areas. There are places that have got serious pocket of insecurity that I wish that the CS gives us an idea of prioritizing those areas in terms of giving them electricity so that they can be able to improve security in those areas. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator James Kamau Mrango.
Yes, asante sana Mr. Speaker. Swali langu ambao litaenda kwa waziri ni moja tu, kwa sababu kama eneo la Ichoko katika Kirinyaga unapata ya kwamba kuna nguzo ziliwekwa miaka 3-4 haijawahi kamilishwa, kama ile inaitwa Getemani na maeneo mengine katika eneo la Kirinyaga. Sasa nilikuwa nauliza waziri kama hako na mipango ambayo imenakiliwa ya kufanya kuhakikisha kwamba stima zinafika kwa wale ambao wanahitaji stima katika maeneo bunge yote, na kama iko tunafaa tufuatilize wapi? Kwa sababu Mr. Speaker, kama mimi seneta wa Kirinyaga, mimi mwenyewe nililipia transformer miaka 3 iliyoisha. Miaka 3. Maafisa wenye wanafaa kupigiwa simu na kuchukua ili tuweze kufuatilia, wachukuangi simu zetu. Sasa kama mimi mwenyewe nahangaika kupata stima, swali ni mwananchi wa kawaida tawezaje kupata stima? Hiyo ndio swali langu Mr. Speaker.
Senator Senior Counsel Mugeni.
Thank you, Waziri. I wanted to ride on the question by Senator Chu and ask a supplementary question to Waziri. I begin by thanking you. Last time you came to Nyamira, you visited 2 constituencies, West Mogrango and Kitutu. I just wanted to know from the Minister, from the CS, whether he has plans to come and finalize the connectivity for Borabu constituency. And the request that was for an upgrade of phase 1 to phase 3 of Tinderet region, so that business people are able to connect to their machines and really spur the growth of the economy. Could the CS kindly tell us what plans he has for that particular constituency and that upgrade to phase 3? Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Joe Newton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And before I put my question to the Honorable CS, it's important, Mr. Speaker, because we are in an honorable house, that we separate things that we say in political areas with what we say here. Because I say that, Mr. Speaker, because Senator Eddie Okech talked about experts. As far as I know, Honorable Joho and Wandayi is a trained lawyer. He is not an expert in matters energy. And so it is important that we see doing a good job without calling him an expert. My question,
yes,
without calling him an expert, Mr. Speaker, because we are misleading. There are students waiting.
Senator,
students here.
Senator.
Yes, Mr.
Senator, I gave you an opportunity to ask
Fine, let me ask my
question. So
it
please
was
just ask the question.
I was just setting the ground. So, Mr. Speaker, my question to the Honorable CS is, and I am very impressed, by the way, by the... Mr. Speaker, can I be heard in silence?
Senator
I'm
Eddie,
very impressed.
Senator Eddie, what is your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, I'm standing on 105 in terms of the misrepresentation of facts, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, first Joe Newton has got law degree that the CS for energy got without my knowledge. I would want him to go and learn about CSs, to understand their background, to understand why we call them experts, to understand their experiences into the Mr. Speaker. And I don't want us to go under 101 where you discuss the persona of the CS in terms of his qualification, but I can assure Joe Newton that the CS expert does not come only by education, but it also comes by experience and contribution in other dockets that the CS has served in. CS Wandayi is an expert in energy in terms of being able to ensure that all communities get those energy supplies, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Joe Newton. Please restrain yourself to just asking your supplementary question. We don't
Thank
have
you,
much
Mr. Speaker,
time.
but you know I have a right of reply.
No,
I want to assure
Senator
Senator Eddie, I hold a degree.
Senator Joe Newton,
Okay,
Senator Joe Newton, if you open
Let me
that
ask
door.
my question then.
Thank you.
Let me ask my question then. But Mr. Speaker, it's important that you do not take a teacher to an operation room and call him an expert when he's not a medic. But Mr. Speaker, my question was, Mr. Speaker, my issue was with the, and I'm very impressed by the way the job that Joho and Wandayi, the CS, is doing. That is not in doubt. The only problem I had, Mr. Speaker, was with misleading students.
Okay, Senator,
so my
just ask your question.
My issue then is, Mr. Speaker, that with the very good program that the CS has put, especially about Marsabit County and the larger northeastern region, Mr. Speaker, we all support that. But then my question to him would be, because there are regions in this country that are thought to be advantaged. But in those regions, Mr. Speaker, there are people, for example, who are not connected to power. So then my question to the CS is, what are the plans by the ministry to see to it that even as we do affirmative action in the regions that have been disadvantaged, that we also connect power to those in the regions wrongly to be connected, all of them. So what is the plan? Because the plan must be for all Kenyans, not just for some regions. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Hezena.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I know that I appreciate Waziri for the good job that he's doing. And as far as you know, that I like that you have really focused on the north, but particularly just one county and forgetting that the north has almost 10 counties. Particularly in Samburu County, you know that we have had serious cases of insecurity, and we appreciate the current administration for giving us a road from Maralal to Baragoi. I would like to know, are there plans put in place by your ministry to ensure that we have electricity connectivity within Samburu North to make sure that we open up the region for trade and to make Samburu County an area that is worthy to be pursued by investors, and also to restore education and security in the region? Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Hezena. Senator Hezena, for your information, the question posed by Senator Chute was in regards to Marsabit. So the CS was not ignoring any other region in the country. He was addressing the question put by Senator Chute. No, it's okay, Hezena. I was just informing you. Thank you. Senator Mariam Sheikh.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the Speaker. I thank Waziri for the work he's doing. Mr. Speaker, the plan he has demonstrated to the House, to Marsabit County, Mr. Speaker, for the plan, which end up, Senator, to not having an additional questions. My question is, Mr. Speaker, what is the plan? Because the ministry has had the cry from Mandera many times, Mr. Speaker. So what is the plan? And is it in the current budget, Mandera to be connected to national grid, Mr. Speaker? Thank you.
Senator Beatrice Akinyi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want to congratulate the CS, whom we call in our region and in other regions that have worked with him as an intellectual. And indeed, Senator Neutral, he is. And that is why our side of the coalition donated him to government to do that kind of work. But my question is this, Honorable Speaker. Just last week, Honorable Speaker, just last week, when we had Madaraka in Homa Bay County, the CS did very commendable work. He launched the last mile connectivity of the county in my own constituency, in their constituency. My question to the CS is, Mr. CS, can I get an assurance from you that all those facilities we launched at Ochol on the day the president was there, that they will be taken care of in terms of last mile connectivity? I'm saying this, Mr. CS, because Homa Bay County has had the highest number of faulty transformers in this republic, which goes down to Ndewa as a sub-county. So all that you launched at Ochol, can we get an assurance from you as Ndewa constituents that the transformer issues and last mile connectivity challenges will be tackled, so that we are not just used as a launching pad and no services are given.
Thank you, Beatrice. And to correct you, it is not Mr. CS, Honorable CS. And in your case, you should be Honorable Expert CS. Thank you. Senator Mungatana, last question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, there was a time we were engaging as senators in our committee with members of the Chamber of Commerce, and I asked them, why is it that you don't encourage your people to come and put industries in Tana River County? We have a lot of land, and we can give you certain facilitation from the county government so that you can erect industries. Mr. Speaker, the answer was very simple. There is no power to support industrialization in Tana River County. So, Mr. Speaker, I wanted to ask the minister, as I congratulate him in considering Marsabit, the plans they have, what other plans does he have for this northern coast area beyond Malindi? Because the line we have can only be for domestic consumption. It cannot support any form of industry. So, Mr. Speaker, I wanted to hear from him what he can do so that our people can also have in Tana River opportunity to get industries that will come there and to create jobs for our people. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Cabinet Secretary, you may proceed.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I'll go straight to the questions. First is the question by Honorable Senator Eddie Okech. Really, Honorable Speaker, let me just say this, and this covers both Honorable Eddie Okech and James Honorable Kamau's questions. That first and foremost, we have a plan for every part of this country, as a ministry, and indeed as government. Every county, every constituency, every ward is factored in our plan. And therefore, and secondly, Honorable Speaker, in implementing our plan for electrification countrywide, we have adopted a strategy to engage very, very closely with the elected leadership. There is no prioritization that we do without consulting the local leadership, and especially members of parliament, both National Assembly and Senate. Many a time you have seen me hosting delegations of MPs from various counties. That is part of the consultative process that then arrives at prioritization. So the areas that are insecurity prone of Migori County, and the areas I'm very conversant with, Honorable Speaker. Yeah, there are areas we are definitely dealing with in consultation with the local leadership, led by Eddie Okech, Senator, my good Senator of Migori. Similarly, the issue of Kichugu in Kirinyaga County. It's unfortunate, perhaps, that there are poles which have been lying idle for some time, and that there is payment for transformers, which is yet to materialize, Honorable Speaker. This is an issue, of course, I will be taking up with the relevant agencies in my ministry, but I want to encourage Honorable Senator Nyutu to not shy away. Just come forward and visit me in the office. Yes, and I will deal with this matter conclusively. Honorable Senator Okongo Mugeni, it is indeed true that I made a visit to parts of Nyamira County a couple of months ago, and that I left out Borabu on account of time constraints. I have got plans to not only go back to Borabu constituency in Nyamira County, but indeed to go to Kisii County, the neighboring Kisii County as well, and cover all the constituencies in the fullness of, as a way of acquainting ourselves with the situation on the ground, but also dealing with the issues that arise therefrom. Honorable Senator Joe Nyutu, indeed, I've answered that in my first, response, that all parts of this country are taken care of. No single region, no single county, no single constituency, no single ward shall be left out in the grand plan of the President William Ruto-led administration, insofar as matters energy and electrification are concerned. Even though we are aware that there are a number of areas which have been left behind for a long time, as we apply affirmative action to those areas, we shall not ignore those other areas that are perceived to be advantaged. We shall apply equity, in short. Equity. And every part of the country shall feel involved. The Honorable Senator Hezena, as I mentioned in my opening statement, Marsabit is just part of the wider northern Kenya region and parts of upper coastal region that have been disadvantaged for a long time. If you may recall, Honorable Speaker, not very many months ago, His Excellency the President did preside over the contract signing for the COSA project, a project that is going to take up to about 12 billion Kenya shillings, funded by the World Bank. And Samburu County is benefiting from that project. In addition, to other plans that we have for not only Samburu County, but all other counties in that region, and indeed the rest of the country.
Cabinet Secretary.
And in that plan for Samburu County, it's not just Samburu North. Samburu North is involved, it's included, Samburu South, Samburu West and East, sorry, Samburu West and East.
Cabinet Secretary, I'll just interrupt you briefly. Honorable Senators, we shall extend the sitting of the House for a further 15, not more than 15 minutes, so that the CS can conclude answering the questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I was saying that when it comes to Samburu County, we are not only just talking about Samburu North, we are also talking about Samburu East and Samburu West constituencies. The Honorable Senator Mariam, similarly, Mandera County is in our plan. And we have had very, very many engagements with leaders of Mandera County. We have had challenges, of course, in towns such as Elwak and many other places, yes, on account of outages of power arising from malfunctioning of our gadgets, our generators. We have got a long-term plan to eventually incorporate Mandera County into the national grid. I must have mentioned earlier, Honorable Speaker, that for Marsabit, for instance, parts of Moyale town are served from Ethiopia. Actually, we serve Moyale town entirely from Ethiopia. And there's no harm doing that. There's nothing wrong with that. Because we're actually encouraging what we are calling East African power pooling. That power can be able to flow across the boundaries. That those who need it can import it, those who have excess can export it, and so on and so forth, to make it affordable and cost-effective. There are discussions at advanced stage between ourselves and the government of Ethiopia to see how far we can extend their power to other parts of that corridor, apart from Moyale. Not forgetting, of course, the fact that we also import that power to Suswa, about 200 megawatts. Okay? Honorable Beatrice Ola. You know, what we launched, indeed the President flagged in Kologi, the Kanyamwa place, is it Kanyamwa there? In Kologi area of Ndeva constituency, was the last mile connectivity project for the entire Homa Bay County. A project led by the European Union, EIB, and so on and so forth. And that project is covering almost the entire country, apart from those other counties that are famously referred to as off-grid, which, as I've said, are dealt with through mini-grid solutions. So that 2.1 billion project for Homa Bay County is not going to stall because there is adequate funding for it, and we have committed to have it completed by November this year. And Ndewa is definitely part of Homa Bay County, and Ndewa will definitely benefit. And that's the place where we did the launch, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to go to the last question, really, by the Honorable Mungatan, and I'm very happy. River County is now receiving the necessary attention. And my good friend, the Honorable Senator Mungatana, has been at the forefront, really, of championing for the cause of Tana River County and indeed the rest of that region. Those efforts are now yielding fruits, Honorable Mungatana. And I'm sure you're aware, Honorable Speaker, that if I leave out the issue of the transmission projects that we are doing, Tana River County is going to benefit from about 240 million shillings worth of mini-grids under the COSAP program. Some 4 mini-grids will have to be done in Tana River County. And the money is there, they will be completed, it will go a long way towards addressing access to power by the people of Tana River County as we embark on other projects, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, allow me to end there, and thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you very much, Cabinet Secretary. And thank you for appearing to answer questions. At this juncture, we are going to end our session, but I'll wish you all the best in your heavy duties in connecting this country to electricity. And we pray for you, Cabinet Secretary. Senators, it is now 1:04 p.m. and having concluded the business for which I extended the hours of sitting pursuant to Standing Order 34-2A, session adjourned until later today, Wednesday, 4th June 2025 at 2:30 p.m.
All civil servants, public officers, as well as state officers in the country. So this motion has been lined up as order number 11. If members manage to get to this particular business, then that motion will be considered this morning. 2 bills coming up for first reading: the Penal Code Amendment Bill originating from the National Assembly by Honorable Anthony Owatch, as the Health Amendment number 2 bill, also originating from the National Assembly by the Honorable Member Njeri Maina. These bills are coming up for first reading. We shall take a look at the content of the bill. Because we are also seeing that another motion with regards to the formulation of a regulatory framework on artificial intelligence in the country. This is a motion by the Honorable Member Marianne Kitani, a motion that is coming up also for consideration, the formulation of a regulatory framework on artificial intelligence in the country. This is that will be seeking to have asked government through the Ministry of Information, Communication and Digital Economy to formulate a regulatory framework and ethical guidance for implementation of artificial intelligence, commonly referred to as AI, in the country to control its potential misuse, as well as develop and execute a public awareness program on artificial intelligence to raise understanding of AI, foster transparency, and promote responsible use. Joining us that the House is about to commence its business. I can see the Sergeant at Arms signaling that the quorum may have been achieved. I would like to hand this business back to the House for your consideration or for you to be able to follow up.
Of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair. Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5 is
Honorable Naomi Wako, on behalf of Majority Leader. You may proceed.
Yeah. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Wednesday, June 4th, 2025, morning sitting. A, order gazetting the host county agreement between the Government of Republic of Kenya and the Global Center for Adaptation and the explanatory memorandum from the Ministry of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs. B, submission of the nominees for the National Government Constituency Development Fund committees for the following 9 constituencies. A, Shuka Igambangombe. B, Dadaab. C, Funyula. D, Gatundu South. E, Ikolomani. F, Kara. G, Madira. H, Suba North. And I, Wajir East. C, reports of the Auditor General and financial statement on Physiotherapy Council of Kenya for the years ended 30 June 2018, 30 June 2019, 30 June 2020, 30 June 2021, 30 June 2022, 30 June 2023, 30 June 2024, and indicates therein. D, reports of the Auditor General and financial statement for the years ended 30 June 2021, 30 June 2022, and 30 June 2024, and the certificates therein in respect of A, Loreto High School, Limuru, and B, St. Teresa Secondary School. E, reports of the Auditor General and financial statement for the year ended 30 June 2022, 30 June 2023, and 30 June 2024, and the certificates therein in respect of A, Aberdare Teachers Training College, and B, Mandera Teachers Training College. E, reports of the Auditor General and financial statement for the years ended 30 June 2024, and the certificates therein in respect of A, AIC Itoloni Girls Secondary School, B, Balambala Technical and Vocational College, C, Bazani Girls High School, D, Bungoma National Polytechnic, E, Bute Girls Secondary School, F, David Mbiti Wambulu Technical and Vocational College, G, Garissa High School, H, Ikuda Technical and Vocational College, I, Kitui High School, J, Mandera Secondary School, K, Maranda High School, L, Mbitini Girls Secondary School, M, Saka Girls Secondary School, N, St. Thomas Aquinas Kalawa Boys Secondary School, and O, Wayam Secondary School. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I lay.
Okay, next paper by the Chairperson, Budget and Appropriations Committee. Honorable Atandi, ready? Not yet, okay. We'll come to you. Next, let's go to the paper by Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Economy, Blue Economy and Irrigation. Honorable Bowen, are you ready?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Madam Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper to the table of the House today, Wednesday, 4 June 2025. report of the Departmental Committee on Blue Economy, Water and Irrigation on its consideration of the agreement under the United Nations Convention of the Laws of the Sea on the conservation and sustainable use of marine biological biodiversity on areas beyond the national jurisdiction. That is a BBNJ agreement. Speaker.
Okay, honorable members, we shall move to next order paper, but we shall still come back to order number 5 at a later time when the chairperson for the Budget and Appropriation Committee is ready. Before we move to welcome two schools that are seated in the public gallery. The first one is Little Prince School from Kibra constituency, Nairobi County, and St. Bikita Girls School from Makueni constituency, Makueni County. On behalf of the substantive speaker and the members of parliament, we welcome you to parliament. Thank you. Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Again, we shall skip by the chairperson, Budget and Appropriations Committee, to a later time. And let's move to the chairperson, Departmental Committee on Blue Economy and Irrigation.
Madam Speaker, I beg to give a notice of the following motion. That this House adopts the report of Departmental Committee on Blue Economy, Water and Irrigation on its consideration and agreements under the United Nations Convention on the Laws of the Sea on the conservation and sustainable use of marine biological diversity of areas beyond the national jurisdiction, BPNJ agreement, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, 4th June 2025, and pursuant to the provisions of Section 8, Subsection 4 of Treaty Making and Ratification Act 2012, approves the ratification of the agreement under the United Nations Convention on the Laws of the Sustainable Use of Marine Biological Diversity and on areas beyond the national jurisdiction, BBNJ agreement. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Next order.
Order number 7, questions and statements.
Next order.
Order number 8, the Penal Code Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 53 of 2024, first reading. A bill for an act of parliament to amend the Penal Code. Order number 9, the Health Amendment number 2 Bill, National Assembly Bill number 56 of 2024, first reading. A bill for an act of parliament to amend the Health Act and for connected purposes. Order number 10, Committee of the Whole House.
Honorable members, as we proceed, we shall stand down number 10I1, that is Assisted Reproductive Technology Bill, National Assembly Bill number 61, because I know the team that was supposed to harmonize, which was led by Honorable Nikal, has not met yet. So we'll stand it down to a later time, after which you will inform us. So we'll just move to the second one, which is the Environmental Management and Coordination Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 66 of 2023. Clause 2. Honorable members, I now propose the question that clause 2 be part of the bill. Mover of the bill, of the amendment.
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that the committee
Hold on a minute, Honorable Mayaka. The mover will be the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Environment, yes. Honorable Kamurian first. Okay.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I beg to move the following amendment to the Environmental Management and Coordination Amendment Bill 2023 at the committee stage. Clause 2, that the bill be amended by deleting clause 2, therefore, the following new clauses. 2, Section 42 of the Environmental Management and Coordination Act is amended in subsection 3 by inserting the following new paragraphs immediately after paragraph B. BA, the provision of the introduction and growth or maintenance of trees of the eucalyptus species in and along rivers, lakes, sea, and wetlands. BB, the provision of the introduction, growth, and maintenance of any invasive species or any potential dangerous species. Thank you, Speaker.
The mic. Honorable Kamren, you'll need to give a specific, a justification. But what's your point of order, Honorable Bowen?
Madam Speaker, I just wanted to inform my good friend Kamren that in any amendment you move or must have some justifications, yes, so that members understand what you are trying to amend.
I'm in agreement. Proceed.
Thank you, Chair. The purpose of why we are agreeing to make some amendments is to keep or to allow the Cabinet Secretary to make regulations and introduce and maintain these trees, because when these trees were grown or planted some years back along the rivers, it consumed a lot of volume of water, and where there was rivers, it ended up drying up in most of the areas in Kenya, and there is a lot of complaint all over the same. And that is why there is a need of the changes, at least for the purposes of maintaining these rivers. And the best way is to stop the growth of these species for the sake of our people and our population to get enough water as it's supposed to be for purposes of the use. So that's the reasons, among many others, that we saw it is really very necessary that this amendment be brought, at least for the Cabinet Secretary to make decision, or rather make regulations that are very relevant to save the source of water in this country. So it's very important. When you visit or you get the reports from different counties, everywhere there is serious complaint over these spaces, because that's become a dangerous trees. And because we can't say it's dangerous trees and they are natural, then the best way is to regulate. Okay. And the Cabinet Secretary cannot regulate without the authority. Yeah. And the authority is within the law. So this one gives that authority or power, the Cabinet Secretary, to regulate this. We are not saying we are doing away with these spaces. No. We are saying it should be regulated within parameters of the law. And that is why this amendment is so necessary. And I am very sure, Honorable Kangoko where it's coming in Elgeyo Marakwet.
I think members
There is
are
a lot of
sufficiently
challenge.
persuaded.
There is a lot of challenge over these same spaces. And that is why we need this amendment. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Chairperson. I now propose the question that clause 2 be amended as proposed. And I think I'll give the first chance to speak is Honorable Mayaka, as she was the sponsor of the amendment.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I do agree with the amendment proposed by the Committee of Environment. I think we did deep dive into this matter extensively, and they're right in actually being very specific of where it is we want the regulations to be implemented, and also the fact that they have included in the amendment that we are not only looking at eucalyptus trees species, but we're also looking at any invasive species. So that going forward or in future, if you have any invasive species, then we do not have to come back and amend that particular clause again, that we already have that sufficiently covered. So yes, I do agree with the committee's recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. I just want to state that we categorically and comprehensively did with this in second reading, and I just rise to support this because the impact of global warming actually it's affecting our rivers and stuff, and we want to do away with some of these species which are really draining our rivers, and for us to protect the diversity and other environmental issues, I think I support the amendment. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Member for Westlands, Honorable Wanyonyi.
Madam Chair, I also want to support this amendment because, Madam Speaker, we witnessed this even in our own areas that these trees are very hazardous. They have messed up many our ecosystem, and removing them, Madam Speaker, it will secure our rivers and other areas. There's somebody even who mentioned that these trees have got a bad smell, that the birds don't even stay in these trees because they have a very bad smell. Madam Speaker, thank you.
Honorable Sergon, Member for Baringo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I also want to support this bill amendment, considering that in the world today, environment is becoming a real threat to human species. And for eucalyptus, I remember we sat with my sister colleague through when she was doing this this bill. And most of the people who contributed to this said amendment today gave a very clear information on how this eucalyptus has really affected their livelihoods, specifically in the water and river banks. And this way, I will support and say it's going to give a very big difference if we are able to regulate and make it habitable for all of us. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Member for Sirisia. I think you seem to be the last person. Okay.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I also stand to support the removal of eucalyptus tree, Honorable Chair. Many of the rivers in this country, Madam Chair, has tried because the trees takes a lot of water from the soil, from the rivers, and therefore, Madam Speaker, we need to protect the environment of this country. Our president has struggled very much to make sure that we do everything possible to plant many trees to replace the eucalyptus. Therefore, Madam Chair, I support.
Okay, Honorable Gikaria, I think I'd forgotten to.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I also rise to support this amendment. Honorable Chair, the aspect of rivers and the water catchment areas is very key. And Honorable Speaker, to be honest, if you go around the country and see where the eucalyptus trees are planted along the rivers, actually the rivers are drying up. And it is important for us to give the Cabinet Secretary an opportunity to make a decision through this amendment so that he can be able to. So I totally support. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Okay, Honorable Sunkuli, you'll be the last person. I think everybody is okay.
Madam Chair, I also support. And I wanted to say, Madam Chair, that the government should do a little more, because there was a time when the eucalyptus tree was promoted as coming from South Africa, a quick ripening tree. But when those things came, people planted them everywhere, and yet they were not really producing those results. There have been eucalyptus trees that do not work in Kenya because most of these are required for power posts and so on. I think that most of our rivers are suffering because of this tree, because the eucalyptus tree, the industry of Australia, which was created in order to suck the water because Australia is under the sea, has come to Africa to suck the little water that we have. And I think that this is a very good law. I support.
Okay, thank you, honorable members. I now put the question that clause 2 be amended as proposed. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that clause 2 as amended be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Title.
I now propose the question that the title be part of the bill. I now put the question that the title be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 1.
I now propose the question that clause 1 be part of the bill. I now put the question that clause 1 be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? Okay, mover. Honorable Irene Mayaka, you're the mover. If you could.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that this House do agree with the report of the Committee of the Whole House on its consideration of the Environmental Management and Coordination Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 66 of 2023. I also request the Honorable Brent to second the motion.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I second.
Honorable Mayaka, could you just go back and to the part to move the reporting? Okay, Honorable Mayaka, proceed to take that again.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I beg to move that the committee do report to the House its consideration of the Environmental Management and Coordination Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 66 of 2023, and its approval thereof with amendments.
Honorable members, I now put the question that the committee do report to the House its consideration of the Environmental Management and Coordination Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 66 of 2023, and its approval thereof with amendments. Chairperson, give him the mic, please.
The Honorable Speaker, I beg to report that the Committee of the Whole House has considered the Environmental Management and Coordination Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 66 of 2023, and approved the same with amendments.
Mover.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that this House do agree with the report of the Committee of the Whole House on its consideration of the Environmental Management and Coordination Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 66 of 2023, and I also request the Honorable Cameron to second the motion.
Honorable Cameron.
I second, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable members, I propose the question that this House do agree with the report of the Committee of the Whole House on its consideration of the Environmental Management and Coordination Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 66 of 2023. I put the question. Okay, honorable members, I now put the question that this House do agree with the report of the Committee of the Whole House on its consideration of the Environmental Management and Coordination Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 66 of 2023. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have. Third reading. Honorable Maka. To move the third reading.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the Environmental Management and Coordination Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 66 of 2023, be now read a third time, and I also request the Honorable Naomi Wako to second.
Honorable Speaker, I second.
Honorable members, I propose the question that the Environmental Management and Coordination Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 66 of 2023, be now read a third time. The mood of the House, I should put the question. Okay, I'll put the question. I have confirmed that we have the present quorum in the House for purposes of making this decision. I therefore put the question that the Environmental Management and Coordination Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 66 of 2023, be now read a third time. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
A bill for an act of parliament to amend Environmental Management and Coordination Act and for connected purposes.
Honorable members, before we move to the next order, I wish to recognize the presence of the following school, which is seated in the public gallery. The Nairobi Academy from Langata constituency, Nairobi County. On behalf of the substantive speaker, I welcome you to Parliament. Thank you. So, honorable members, we now move back, like I had earlier indicated, to order number 5 and order number 6 to allow the chairperson for the Budget and Appropriations Committee to lay the paper before the House. Honorable Atandi.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, Wednesday, 4th June 2025. Report of the Budget and Appropriations Committee on its consideration of the estimates of revenue and expenditure for financial year 2025-2026 and the medium term, and the compendium of departmental committee reports on the consideration of the annual estimates.
Next order, you can read out the next order. We now go to order number 6. Just state it out, order number 6, state notices of motion.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Proceed, Honorable Atandi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Consideration, notice of the motion. Consideration of the estimates of revenue and expenditure for financial year 2025-2026 and the medium term. That this House adopts the report of the Budget and Appropriations Committee on its consideration of the estimates of revenue and expenditure and the medium term for the financial year 2025-2026, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, 4th June 2025, and pursuant to provisions of Article 221 of the Constitution, Section 39 of the Public Procurement Act 2012, and Standing Order 239, 1, approves the issuance of a sum of Kenya shillings 2,538,293,978,440 from the Consolidated Fund to meet expenditure during the year ending 30th June 2026 in respect to the votes contained in the first schedule, subject to paragraph 3, Committee of Supply. 2, makes the policy and financial solutions as contained in the schedule to the report. 3, orders the Speaker do now leave the chair, facilitate the consideration of the state budget estimates with respect to each vote and program in the Committee of Supply as contemplated under Standing Order 240, that is consideration of estimates in the Committee of Supply. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. On next order, we are going to order number 10 now.
Next order. Next. Order number 11, motion. Implementation of the universal health coverage and of a policy on mandatory use of public health care facilities by public officers.
Yeah, which Honorable Sabina Chege is not present, so we'll skip that. We'll stand it down. So we move to the next order.
Order number 12, the County Government's Amendment Bill, Senate Bill number 25 of 2023, second reading.
Honorable Timothy Toroitich is not present. So we'll defer that one also.
Order number 13, the Agriculture Livestock Extension Services Bill, Senate Bill number 12 of 2022, second reading.
The Honorable Dr. John Mutunga is present. I think I'd seen him. Okay, you may proceed to move.
Honorable Speaker, I rise to move that the Agricultural and Livestock Extension Services Bill be now read a second time. Honorable Speaker, this country has gone through a lot of changes, especially in the agricultural sector. Way back in the 1990s and early 2000s, the country was performing extremely well because we had an organized agricultural extension system. The agricultural extension system covers both agriculture and livestock. And in this particular case, we have an evolution of extension services in the country, and the service has been offered by the Ministry of Agriculture and Development. Honorable Speaker, in the past, there were mergers of the ministry where we had the Ministry of Agriculture splitting from the Ministry of Livestock Development, and then we had extension armament over time. Even then, extension used to work very well. However, later on, the ministry was fully merged, and now we have the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development. Extension services is part of what is devolved. At the point of devolution, Honorable Speaker, many or most of the extension officers were released to the county governments. Unfortunately, there has not been continuous hiring or progressive hiring of extension staff to replace those that have been retiring or have been going through natural attrition. The last time the government seriously hired extension officers and I remember this very clearly, was 1989. That's when we had a complete uptake of all the graduates from both universities and the diploma colleges to extension. After that, the government has been sparingly and merely, replacing those who leave either through retirement or other forms. Honourable Speaker, extension services have gone down considerably in this country. There was the expectation that after devolution, then the county governments will take up extension very, very seriously. Unfortunately, this has not happened. And the reason is that the allocation to agriculture has been dwindling over time. At the national level, agriculture has also not been doing very well. Lumped up under the agriculture, rural, and urban development, that sector currently is number 9 in terms of priority. Again, on the other hand, it is a sector which is supporting most of the population, people in this country. It is a sector which has most of what we export out of this country. It is a sector which has the raw materials to our industries. And it is a sector which basically earns as foreign exchange. So it is a sector that is delicate. However, it is majorly private. It's therefore necessary. So this bill comes in to try and reconfigure extension in the present time. The Senate bill, the bill passed through Senate and was brought to us. And I am the particular co-sponsor of this particular bill. The bill has several parts. Part 1 basically deals with the preliminaries, and this is about definitions and other, the objectives of the bill. The key objective of this bill being coming up with a mechanism to reach the farmers, technology, innovations, and management practices that are generated from our research institutions and also from our universities. Over time, these technologies, innovations, and management practices have not been reaching the farmers in the right time, in time. So it takes a bit of time to have these innovations reaching the farmers. Honourable Speaker, you know that very well that technology transfer is necessary for farmers to improve on productivity, and the fact that Kenya has limitations in terms of land. In terms of arable land, we are left to only improve on productivity. And if we have to improve on productivity, we must take up research findings to try and intensify agricultural production. And this can only be done through extension. Since there are weaknesses in the extension service currently, and since it is not happening as expected under the county management, this bill comes in to try and awaken the consciousness of Kenyans, and especially those who are in the management of the sector, to be able to look into how do we make sure that we have a revival of this particular service. So the first objective of this particular bill is basically to foster coordination and collaboration in extension services, extension service research by national government, county government, non-government organizations, learning institutions, research bodies, and other non-state actors. We are looking at all those who are involved in generating technologies, innovations, and management practices. And this is done by our national research institutions. It could be done by our universities and colleges. It could also be done by what we call CG centers. CG centers are the international research organizations like ICIPE, ICRAF, IRRI, which are located in this particular country, and have an objective of generating technologies, innovations, and management practices. And these technologies, innovations, and management practices, which could be focused on specific areas of this particular country, are necessary, therefore, to cause improvement in agricultural productivity. So the other objective is to promote the generation of high income for farmers and traders through increased production and sourcing of competitive materials. Competitive materials, in this particular case, we are looking at inputs. And inputs are a form of seeds or the genetic material when it comes to the livestock. On Oscar, these inputs are not, they must be, farmers must be appraised where to get the inputs, where to get an unadulterated inputs. We have had a problem in this country where input suppliers have been branded once or many times for selling the wrong or non-viable inputs. And that particular loophole needs to be sealed. The only way we can seal such a loophole is to make sure that agricultural extension services are organized in a way that farmers can know exactly where to get the correct information from. Madam Speaker, the bill has also an objective for continuous and sustained research on extension services for the development of the agricultural and livestock industry. Agriculture industry has got to do with crop development, and crop development has to do with getting better seeds, seed varieties, getting better, planting materials where we do not use seed. On the other hand, when it comes to livestock, we need to be able to get better breeds of animals. We need fast maturing animals when it comes to those that are destined for beef, and high yielders when it comes to the milk producers, both the goats and the dairy animals. This information cannot be generated, cannot be accessed by farmers if there is no organized system of transferring the innovations, the technologies to them through extension service. The fourth objective is one of sector-wide approach to provision of extension services, which enables access to appropriate quality services from the best service providers and attain higher productivity, increased income, and standards of living for Kenyans. We are referring to standards of living for Kenyans because the great majority of Kenyans are edged, or rather they are anchored onto agriculture as their major means of livelihood. On the other hand, they may not be able to know exactly where to get the best extension services. We need to look at an extension service where farmers can be able to access technical information from people who are already proven. Madam Speaker, as a committee, we have been looking at how do we professionalize agricultural extension, and how do we professionalize how do we identify agricultural professionals? This is because the country is treated to an agripreneurs or agricultural practitioners who are mainly investors in agricultural input supply and also agrochemicals, and they are not necessarily qualified to offer extension. Unfortunately, on our Speaker, we do not have a regulatory mechanism that would give us this kind of, we will take care of this particular sector in that respect. So we are also coming up with a bill that will identify and recruit and basically license the agricultural technicians and professionals. In that way, we shall be able to clean the agricultural sector in the sense that we shall know who is the right person to offer extension service, or rather to offer advisory services. There are many other bodies that also in the sector in offering agricultural extension services. We also need to have a mechanism of cleaning up or approving these bodies to actually offer extension services so that we can be sure that our farmers are getting quality education when it comes to advisory on farming and livestock keeping. The final objective of this particular bill is for the provision of financial support to various players in the extension service. The bill comes up to propose that we need to have a mechanism of fundraising to have the extension service supported, as it were. This bill, on our Speaker, goes ahead to separate the issues of the national government, issues of the government. Those issues that are national government related are basically classified as those to do with research, because research cannot be localized, and such products needs to be transferred to all those who may need them. Those issues to do with international trade, they are also localized at the national level, because in international trading systems, there are agreements. And then these agreements, in agricultural product trading, we have competent authorities that are identified across the different players, on different actors or members or parties in a trading system. And these competent authorities are the only ones that can qualify products for human consumption in various other countries in view of the Codex Alimentarius or the international, system of identifying or rather qualifying what can be consumed by human beings. On the other hand, there is the issue of capacity building. Capacity building is localized at national level in the sense that the national government or the ministry at the headquarters is capable of linking up with other institutions across the world to get information, to verify this particular information, and basically also linked with the research system in the country and the education system in the country to be able to pick this information and qualify it. Madam Speaker, this bill also goes further to identify the regulatory functions to be basically domiciled at the national government. On the other hand, the transfer of knowledge and technology at the local level is left to the county government. It is the county government which need to identify what kind of problems the farmers are facing. It is the county government which needs to identify what mechanisms can be used to pass this information to the various farmers. It is the county government which needs to identify the extent to which the farmers are concentrated in various parts of the country, and therefore how they need to be assisted in terms of accessing the information. It is the county government which have been charged with a diagnostic function to identify exactly what it is that farmers are suffering from. So, Madam Speaker, as we discuss this particular bill, one of the things that we need to ask ourselves is the plenty of issues captured in this particular bill. We are living in an age where ICT is very key. And if ICT is not fully integrated in this particular bill, then we need to look at how do we make sure that ICT becomes a major function. On the other, a major application. On the other hand, Honorable Speaker, we have many institutions in this country which have been established to support agricultural development. We have the universities, we have the research institutions, national and international. We have the control institutions like the Pest Control Products Board, which basically monitors what kind of products, pesticides come into this particular country. We have the national, the Kenya Plant Health Inspectorate Service and others. And particularly, Honorable Speaker, we have an institution that is called the Agricultural Information, it's called the Agricultural Information Center. The Agricultural Information Center basically synthesizes information from various sources, from universities, from the research institutions, and it basically passes on this information to Kenyans for consumption by the farmers. This Agricultural Information and Resource Center is one of the facilities that need to be looked into as we try to configure extension in this particular country. So, Mr. Speaker, as we discuss this particular bill in this House, we need to ask ourselves the extent to which these issues have been linked or they have been identified, how their roles have been linked to supporting the function of extension, and how they will progressively be supported to generate information or to manage this information for purposes of consumption by the farmers. Honorable Speaker, the bill goes further to identify other functions to identify the various players. And each of these players is given a role in this particular respect. Honorable Speaker, as we look at the extension moving forward, we need to ask ourselves, where does Kenya want to go? If we look at the current government's bottom-up economic transformation agenda, 6 out of the 9 priority value chains are in agriculture. These value chains include the beef value chain, the dairy value chain, it includes the leather value chain, as it were. We are also looking at the rice value chain, we are looking at coffee. Out of these value chains, Honorable Speaker, there are targets that have been set. For instance, if we have to improve our coffee production so that we may capture our quota, We must open up more land on coffee. We must intensify coffee production. This cannot be done by smallholder farmers without appropriate information. They need to understand how to test their soils, how to identify what kind of fertilizer that is needed for the soils to produce optimally. They need to understand when to spray for what, to protect their crop from what insects or pests and from what diseases. They need to know how to regulate their functions. And for that to happen, they need to be adequately advised. The only mechanism for advising farmers is through extension service. If there is a function that has been quoted as having in this country, it's the country's extension service. Everyone who speaks about the extension says they are used to be. They speak in the past tense. They do not say that there is an elaborate or working extension system today. And the reasons are many. One of the reasons on our speaker is that after the transition, after the implementation of the Constitution 2010, the creation of the county government and the devolution of agriculture functions, some of the functions, then the inheritance of the old staff, who have also developed themselves to an extent that a greater majority of them have moved from the certificate holding to diploma, to degree, even to masters, and so on. So they are not probably available to offer local level extension services. In the past, extension was organized in such a way that a certificate fellow would sit at the unit. The country was divided into agricultural extension units. So a certificate fellow would sit at the unit. At the locational level, there would be probably a diploma holder who would be coordinating these certificate fellows. And then at the district level, there used to be an extension advisor or extension officer who therefore coordinates the entire district activities. That used to work very well because information was flowing to and fro, and farmers were getting advisory services. Today, farmers are on their own. And this bill comes to emphasize that farmers need to be refocused. We need to revisit advising the farmers. It is not possible for farmers to produce better. It is not possible for farmers to produce optimally. It is not possible for farmers to intensify productivity without advisories. Not all farmers are enlightened. We may, to a large extent, say that our farmers have gone to school, but Honourable Speaker, schooling is different from having advice-specific, a theme advisory. So in this particular respect, this bill comes in to try and reinvigorate the extension service. Honourable Speaker, the final part of this particular bill basically speaks to the coordination mechanism. The financing mechanism, sorry. The financing mechanism that is proposed in this particular bill is such that we will have some support from the government to the extension service itself. And then there is proposal to create some fund. This particular fund is supposed to be used to run the extension services. Honourable Speaker, we know it is not easy to create funds. And for a system that is not generating any levy, we may not be able to create funds. But it is possible for us to levy extension services. And we cannot move into levying extension services just overnight. We need to be better organized. We know several services within the agricultural sector were commercialized without due preparation of the farmers. And I have in mind a service like the tick control system, where you used to have dips, where we could take our animals, throw them into the dip, and then, the government will supply their carries under the management of the dips. It would be able to keep the ticks away from the animals. We also know that clinical services were commercialized without due preparation of the farmers. So that's another issue that we need to be careful about. If we have to move the direction of commercializing extension service, caution needs to be taken so that we are careful to manage this particular process and to manage the transition as it were. Farmers must see value in what we will be proposing. So this particular bill comes in to try and seek more support from the government. Honourable Speaker, there is the creation of an institution which would manage the extension service in the country. And this institution is charged with the responsibility of regulating extension, of cross-checking the performance, the effectiveness, and the efficiency of the function across the country, and trying to find out whether farmers have been able to get the information. This particular institution is also charged with the responsibility of identifying the sources of new information for the farmers, trying to create some mechanism for packaging or simplifying these particular innovation technologies and management practices so that farmers, they can be farmer friendly, as well as enabling the continuous flow of information. That particular function, Honourable Speaker, may be necessary for farmers to be able to get information. There must be a feedback mechanism, as it were, because unless farmers are able to say exactly what they want, and unless the extension is demand-driven, then we will be doing much of supply. And supply does not necessarily mean that farmers will always consume whatever they are given. So we must make extension also demand-driven, in the sense that farmers will have to say this. Therefore, the mechanism that we come up with must be efficient in identifying information that is relevant to the farmers as per their needs and relaying this information in record time. So the effectiveness of this particular function, as proposed in this particular bill, will be determined by the extent to which we polish this particular process. Honourable Speaker, the bill basically comes in to revive this particular function. And the county governments are held to account when it comes to extension, as much as the national government is also held to account. Regulatory issues have also been identified as sources of support in terms of getting appropriate extension. And extension does not only mean extension to the farmers, extension means informing the entire sector, in the sense that we need to be clearly aware of what is happening at every given time. We can be able to know the pricing regime of various products. We can be able to know the variations in terms of regions. We can be able to know the prices are changing so that farmers may also be better informed to target specific markets within the country and even outside the country. So, Honourable Speaker, with those very few remarks, I wish to move that particular bill be I wish to move that this bill be read as second. And I would like to request the Honorable Millie to second. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Okay, before Honorable Millie seconds, I wish to recognize the presence of the following school, which is seated in the Speaker's Gallery. South Tetu Girls High School from Mukurweni constituency, Nyeri County. And Honorable Millie, as you second, maybe you can welcome them on our behalf.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. And Madam Speaker, before I second, I will just welcome the students who have come to Parliament today and really indicate to them that it is such a privilege. They may not realize it. Not many students are able to come into this house. And when you come here, please remember that some of us were once upon a time your age. And once upon a time, to be where we are today, and it's possible with a focused mind to one day get here. So please, if there's anything you come out of here, come out believing in yourself and the possibilities that you want. You can be anything, not only a politician, but an engineer. So on behalf of Parliament, we do welcome you to the Parliament of Kenya. Madam Speaker, even as I stand to sign this bill, I want to congratulate the chair for bringing this bill. And Madam Speaker, I'll be very brief. I know that in this country we have, under the new Constitution 2010, we have a devolved system of governance that has put a lot of mandate on our counties and health. Madam Speaker, before there were very good extension services under our previous government, not previous government, the previous governance structure. But for some reason, maybe because of teething issues, even though it's taking a bit long, you find that extension services in most of our counties have actually collapsed. Because of that, you can see, even though we are a very agriculturally rich country, you find that our output has gone completely low, and yet we can be food sufficient. We can actually even export our food, but because of not putting a lot of energy on that, it has actually compromised. Madam Speaker, I wish to therefore say that it will be very important that we refocus on those extension services, and Madam Speaker, even putting a lot of effort on capacity building, and Madam Speaker, and ensuring that devolution actually works at all levels, even to the level. Madam Speaker, right now, if you look at our farmers, many of them are struggling on their own. Madam Speaker, I don't want to speak much because I know there are many members who wish to contribute to this bill. And Madam Speaker, if there is anything else that is remaining, I will bring by way of any proposed amendments. Otherwise, Madam Speaker, I congratulate the chair and do second. Thank you.
Honorable members, I now propose the question that the the Agriculture and Livestock Extension Services Bill, Senate Bill number 12 of 2022, be read a second time. Members who want to contribute to this debate, kindly put the intervention button.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I allies to support this bill. Madam Speaker, for a long time when we are growing up, we used to see agricultural extension officers. We used to see farmers and the best farming practices, how to prepare the fields for planting, how to prepare even the animals on various stages of growth. Madam Speaker, our economy relies entirely on agriculture. To be very specific, we do export coffee, tea, and now we are exporting livestock products. Madam Speaker, our farmers for a long time have been left alone after they withdrew of many of these extension officers. Madam Speaker, farmers need education on best practices. Madam Speaker, agriculture is the main source of income for our people in this country. Madam Speaker, we need to ensure that agriculture and livestock sustains itself because of the great role it plays in the economy of this country. Madam Speaker, after the devolution, there is a division of responsibilities with the national government taking up the responsibility of the policy, and then the county government takes up the implementation. This bill, Madam Speaker, is establishing a clear relationship on how the government will operate and coordinate with the county government. Madam Speaker, our farmers now are particularly when there's a lot of change in the climate, areas that were very productive, areas that were not productive, but they are turning to become very important of agricultural production. Our farmers need training. Our farmers need education. Madam Speaker, if we leave our farmers behind with the changes in the climate, the soil conditions are changing. Madam Speaker, we need to start educating our farmers on the best farming practices. And therefore, the responsibility and the importance of the agricultural extension officers is very important. Madam Speaker, everywhere in the world right now, farming requires advanced technologies. We have seen best practices linking up the farmers with the best technologies to enable them do the best farming. Now, these extension officers, Madam Speaker, will play a very good role in ensuring that there is the transfer of technology because they have the capacity of learning and disseminating the knowledge on technology transfer. Madam Speaker, the extension officers play a very great role in linking our farmers to various farm inputs and markets. Madam Speaker, we have seen many young people and our gracious women requiring a lot of empowerment in farming. Madam Speaker, these people, they are asking for farm input. Madam Speaker, they are market. There's nobody to advise them on what to do and where to go. I believe with the extension officers, the farmers will be able to get all this knowledge and be able to execute their responsibilities as farmers. Madam Speaker, we need to collect a lot of data. Madam Speaker, you remember you brought a matter here in this parliament on cancer, which is associated with a lot of chemicals that are being used in the farms in the rural areas. Madam Speaker, there's nobody who is focused on what kind of information, what kind of problems that farmers are facing, what kind of chemicals are being used for a particular area. So we believe if the agricultural extension officers are there, they will be able to collect vital information on the soil textures, on the area that are affected mainly with a lot of diseases associated with chemicals that are being used. We believe that agricultural extension officers will be able to collect information on the changing trends on agriculture for specific areas. Speaker, it's very important that, particularly now that we are encouraging our young people in the rural areas to form cooperatives and to form groups, self-help groups. I believe agricultural extension officers are better placed to assist these farmers form these groups. These groups are now left to the members of parliament. And these are very technical areas. These are the people who can sit down with the farmers, tell them what kind of groups they need to form and where to go and where to register. They are not only confined to the actual agriculture, they also are confined in offering social to our farmers. So, Madam Speaker, this is a very important bill. It needs to be implemented passed and implemented as quickly as possible. And we need to set funds as a National Assembly. We need to appropriate funds because the government has set the policy. We need to appropriate funds so that it can go towards the recruitment of these extension officers. We have so many graduates out there who have gone for certificate, who have gone for diploma, who have gone for bachelor in extension services, specifically on agriculture and livestock. So, Madam Speaker, it is very, very vital that we really pass this bill because it is going to give direction as to the direction of agricultural policy in this country. Madam Speaker, I support.
Member for Kilgoris, Honorable Sunkuli.
Madam Speaker, I also beg to support. The chairman who has moved this motion has actually done a good job. He has said everything that needs to be said.
Honorable Sunkuli, allow me to interrupt you. Let me recognize the presence of these schools so that you can also welcome them because they might have to leave before we do. So I wish to recognize the students sitting in the public gallery. One set from Koile Boys High School, Kajiado Central Constituency, Kajiado County. Greenview School from Kasarani Constituency, Nairobi County. 10 constituency, Nakuru County. So Honorable Sinkuli, you'll welcome them as you contribute to the debate. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Speaker. I wish to welcome all the students who have come from different parts of Kenya. And it's good that they have all met together to see that this is the National Assembly of the Republic of Kenya. From the onset, you would learn that you need to interact with the rest of Kenya. And welcome to the National Assembly, where in future, many of you will look into either as members or as voters, as the house that will make a difference in your life. So I wish to say welcome. And for those students from Kajiado, on behalf of the member of Kajiado Central, I wish to say to you, Karibuni. And Madam Speaker, as I was saying, this is a very important motion. It is a very important bill, actually, that has been brought by the Senate and into this House by the chairman. And Madam Speaker, I grew up, my father was an extension officer. And those were the days when extension had a meaning. Now, when devolution came, we have now devolved the function of agriculture to the county governments. And apparently, this function is not very attractive to the county government. They do not treat it as priority. This notwithstanding the fact that in reality, every county has a budget for agriculture, budget line for agriculture. One thing that they have totally omitted to do is to recruit extension officers. And I wonder, Madam Speaker, from the point of view of the national government, if the county government is not recruiting extension officers, and we are allowing our universities and our colleges to teach agriculture, are we not misleading the young people to go for courses where nobody will employ them? We have many people in our constituency with certificates, with diplomas, with degrees on agriculture. But they cannot be employed by the national government because that function is devolved. Yet the county governments have said that they have not shown any indication that they are going to employ these students. I think it is important to tell those colleges that are teaching agriculture that they must reduce the ratio of students they are teaching, because the number of students they are churning out who ought to be extension officers cannot be accommodated in the country, because the policy of recruitment in the county governments is wrong. And Madam Speaker, I always decry the university, the Egerton University, which is our top agriculture university, and the way it is not coming up to standards nowadays. In fact, it is considered to be one of those universities that are going down the drain. Yet we say in this country that agriculture is important. If our premier university of trained agricultural officers is not doing a good job, where in future, when we decide to recruit these people, are we going to get the real experts? Yes, Rift Valley Institute of Science and Technology and other colleges of its kind are training people with certificates and degrees, and diplomas. But what about the people who actually have a global knowledge of agriculture? If the University of Egerton cannot train them, where are we going to have them trained? Madam Speaker, the need for extension officers has become even more important. See, before the growing of coffee was a matter for the Mount Kenya region, either from Embu, Meru, and Kiambu. Even Kiambu was a major coffee area. Today, because of the attraction of real estate, Kiambu is no longer a very strong coffee area. Instead, if you come to areas like Kilgoris, like Kitale, like some parts of Wasingishu, those are the new areas of coffee growing. But the people of that area do not have an inherited knowledge of how to grow coffee. So if we do not have these people, extension officers, going to the new areas where new crops are growing, who will teach the farmers of that area how to grow those crops? Well, we have been very good people in keeping our cattle in the areas of the Maasai. But Madam Speaker, the shrinking area of land have made it necessary that we do more scientific ways of breeding cows. If we do not have extension officers, who is going to train the people how to improve their breeds? It is so important that because of the shifting nature of our economics, that we have people who are experts to train our people. And there are many, many areas. Today, my own place in Transmara, apart from accepting the coffee plant, is major sugarcane. But where are the extension officers to come and help to train these people? Madam Speaker, in many, many areas of our pastoralist communities, the only doctors you get to inject your cows is the owner of the cow. You just know, we all know, everybody must know that if you want to inject a cow, you just apply 10 cc's of penicillin or terramycin or something of that kind. But there is this self-medication, if I may use the term, of our own by people who have not been trained, but who believe they have the knowledge, even if the knowledge is very old, is the only thing we have. So farmers are on their own. There is nobody there out there to help them. So, Madam Speaker, it's important that even as we keep singing this song about devolution, because I know it is in fashion to say devolution is very good, but in some areas it is costing us. And we must tell the governors, are you ready to do this agriculture thing, or you bring it back to the center? Because if you are not doing it, then and the center cannot be allowed to do it. So who is going to do it? We cannot afford anymore to give this to our agriculture. We have to say that agriculture is important, and we have to put our money where our mouth is, because we cannot keep saying that yes, we are an agricultural country, yet in fact we are not putting money and skill and everything that we need there. Madam Speaker, I beg to support.
The Honourable Member for Moibed, Honourable Phyllis Parto.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to also contribute to this bill on the agricultural extension services. And I want to thank the Chair, Departmental Committee for Agriculture, for bringing this very important bill to Parliament. Madam Speaker, once upon a time, before IMF brought the structural adjustment programs, extension services were very vibrant in our communities, particularly in Uasin Gishu. And with time, such services diminished until it has reached a time when we really don't know. We no longer have such services. Madam Speaker, agriculture is a very important aspect in our societies. It is the backbone of our country, especially where I come from, Uasin Gishu. We are majorly farmers, and this bill is going to be very important for us because agriculture, it is the only thing which the country can depend now. We have cases of unemployment. We have young people who just go to school, they are at home, they don't access employment yet. That vast land in Kenya. So that is an area which needs to be resourced, needs to be established, needs capacity, so that we can at least get people going to the farms, get people get quality from agriculture, and even we can depend on it for exporting and get for international exchange, and it can boost the economy of our country. Madam Speaker, we have an institution of higher learning which premium in research. Case in point, Madam Speaker, is Egerton University. I know, and because I was once upon a time teaching in that institution. We have a lot of research which has been done in agriculture, and we have credible professors, and I can quote a few, I can name a few, like Professor Kai, Professor Bebe, Professor Kimusto, who have pioneered in doing research in agriculture, and they've generated a lot of knowledge, transfer that knowledge to young people. But Madam Speaker, there is a disconnect between the knowledge and the farmer. So eventually that information is just left in libraries, in archives, and maybe in publications as just theoretical papers, but nobody has translated that to transform livelihoods, to transform our farms, to transform our farmers. So, Madam Speaker, I think this bill, if it is given the right, if it is given the justice it deserves, I'm sure we can see some transformation. I'm a product of agriculture myself. I went to school through schooling because my parents were purely farmers. And we used to see people going around, getting information, giving advices to our parents, advising them on the best practices, advising them on what type of breeds of animals to keep, advising them on when there is a looming disease in the community, and they would prepare them. But unfortunately, those services kept on dwindling, and now I realize that it seems the government has not been employing services to extension experts to go and advise the farmers. So the farmers are being left at the mercy of quacks who masquerade as extension officers, and they charge them very exorbitant prices. And I believe this bill is going to cure such problems in our society, so that we can get the best experts who are trained, who have the knowledge, who have the capacity, who can go and train the farmers in the language they understand. Because it's not that all farmers are educated. If we get extension officers from different communities, they can train farmers. Because like now, the Ministry of Agriculture is encouraging farmers, like in my community, to do all sorts of, to plant all sorts of crops, to keep all sorts of animals, but without the relevant knowledge, with the necessary knowledge to go about it. Like they are just sending seedlings, coffee seedlings. They are sending avocado seedlings. They are sending different breeds. They are sending. I mean, these farmers are just at the receiving end. They are all encouraged, and even we politicians, when we go there, we encourage them to diversify and plant different varieties of seeds, but from a layman's perspective. So I'm sure we are heading on the right directions, because now we will be able to get experts who are not just going to the field to train them, but mentor them and build capacity. And with time, agriculture will make meaningful, will turn our societies in a meaningful way. I also like the idea that in this bill, licenses will be given to the extension officers. They will be vetted, they will be licensed, so that they can, whenever they go to the field, they have something to show that they are licensed officers to train the farmers, so that we do away with the case I said earlier about masqueraders who visit homes and they put on uniform and they are experts in everything. They can talk about everything, and we are not sure whether they have that capacity or they went to any training, they have any know-how of whatever they are professing. So, Mr. Speaker, I think I support this bill, and I look forward to a time when we will be able to get support, they get knowledge, they get capacity. I even read that in the bill they will be well-resourced and given, they are given loans to carry out the farming practices. So I think it is a move in the right direction. And Kenya being an agricultural country, we can be able to take up agriculture and improve our GDP. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well said, honorable members. Join me in recognizing and welcoming students from Mount Kenya State Road, Kieni constituency, Nyeri County. They are seated at the Speaker's Gallery, and students from St. Benedict's, Mamutitu, Mukurweini constituency, Nyeri County. They are also seated in the Speaker's Gallery, and they are students from Tasia School, Embakasi East, Nairobi County. They are seated in the public gallery. They are welcome to follow proceedings this morning, and hope their visit here helps widen their scope and mind in terms of what they're doing in school these days. Thank you. The next would be the member for Tetu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, before I talk about the bill before us, allow me to join you in warmly welcoming the students from Kieni constituency and the students from Mukurweini constituency. Those are my neighbors. And on behalf of the Honorable MP Kagusha and the Honorable MP Wainaina, who I know are not here, I warmly welcome them to the House of Parliament and ask them to work hard, and hopefully a few of them will be able to come to this house one day. That said, Mr. Speaker, allow me to lend my voice in support of the Agriculture Extension Services Bill. And Mr. Speaker, let me say that growing up in rural Kenya in the 80s and the 90s, I think we all witnessed the transformative power of agriculture. Most of us were educated by proceeds of coffee and tea and other crops, and that is when there was money in farming. And one of the catalysts then, Mr. Speaker, was the presence of these agriculture extension officers. But over the years, Mr. Speaker, we have seen a very systematic collapse of these services, and the final nail on the coffin came in 2012, I believe, when we finally devolved agriculture. And I have said in this house before, it is sad that a lot of the good things that were devolved died on the floor, of the counties. Mr. Speaker, agriculture, despite being about 33% of our GDP, contributes nearly 70% in terms of employment and support for rural livelihoods. And yesterday I came out through a very interesting chart, which was comparing crop production between Kenya and Tanzania, and the comparison years was 1961 and 2023. And Mr. Speaker, you realize on maize, I think in 1961, we were producing upwards of 1 million metric tons of maize, and Tanzania was only doing about 300,000. Today, we are at about 3 million. Tanzania is at about 6 million. And that is why we have become a net importer of Tanzanian maize. The same goes to rice, the same goes to beans, and the same goes to very many other crops. And as much as we may have beef currently with Tanzania, Mr. Speaker, we'll have to admit that when they tell us sarcastically in Swahili, jirani hana chakula, jirani hata chakula hana, they really mean it. Because over time, we have let the agriculture sector down. Mr. Speaker, the challenge we have in this country is productivity. And life shrink as the vagaries of climate change affect us. As we deal with all the challenges that we have, productivity continues to go down. And we have to make interventions to ensure that our farmers can be able to produce more on the small pieces of land that they have. And this calls for improved husbandry methods, better seeds, better use of pesticides, better use of fertilizers, and disease control. And Mr. Speaker, this is the role that the agriculture extension officers played. And since we took this to county, and I must admit, Mr. Speaker, I happen to have a sister who is an agriculture extension officer. And she gives me horrendous stories of how sometimes she's in the office for a month or two, never having gone to the field, because the county she works for cannot give her any means of transport, and there are no tools to even go and help farmers yet out there. Yet she is in an agriculturally rich county. So, Mr. Speaker, we must start introspecting what we need to do about this problem. And I'm happy the bill before us to revitalize this is actually a very timely bill. But I'm not a very strong believer that every problem in this country will be solved by government. Actually, government is fairly poor at solving problems. Government is good at policy. Government is good at creating an enabling environment. And if we look at what has happened to counties, this problem was handed over to them. They were given staff. But because of the challenges that we have in the counties, especially challenges to do with corruption, because Mr. Speaker, I've said in this House that the only thing we seem to have successfully developed has been corruption. Because of the problems we have to start introspecting whether we need to now create a framework for professional services. Today, Mr. Speaker, in the rural areas, even when there is no medicine in the local clinic, you can go to some private doctor somewhere. So how do we also ensure that farmers who are able to support this can have at least commercialized extension services? If you look at all the big horticulture companies, especially the ones that operate in parts of the Rift Valley and Mount Kenya, they are actually running their own extension services. They have officers going out there advising farmers and telling them what to do to ensure that they get better productivity for their crops. So how can we ensure that we come up with a model where we can be able to certify, where we can be able to register, and where we can be able to regulate commercial extension officers who can be able, and they can even be community-based, the same way we have CHPs. They can be, small professionals, community-based, and they can be able to go and maybe even do a crop share or even do some sort of a milk share, product share with the farmers, so that if they can help the farmers, say, improve their productivity from, say, 10 liters per cow to 20 liters, maybe they are allowed to take 2 liters a day, so that farmers can be able to pay for improved productivity. So, Mr. Speaker, I'll say that this bill is timely. We need to ensure that we do not leave this entirely to government. We need to ensure that this sector is very well regulated, because as we speak, we will continue to complain about reduced productivity. And finally, Mr. Speaker, I have always longed for the day, because we have this fund called CDF, but because of devolution, very clear boundaries were built. For example, today I see a lot of opportunities to educate my farmers. I see a lot of opportunities to do some little interventions in water, in irrigation, in agriculture, in health. But because of the limitations of the CDF, I am not able to do this. How can we maybe in future, Mr. Speaker, maybe even allow a 2% or even a 1% of CDF to go into things like farmer education? Because governors have failed to do this. Yet MPs, members of parliament, have shown very good utilization of CDF in matters education, in matters security, in matters environment. How can we extend our scope just a little bit to be able to meet some of those needs? So, Mr. Speaker, this is, I know is theoretical, but I rise to support this bill, and I think it is very, very important that we get our farmers back to productivity in this country. Thank you.
Well said. Could I we hear from the member for Kirinyaga.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Geshimo. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to support this bill. Honorable Speaker, while agriculture is at a transformational crossroads, it is unfortunate that we seem to be progressing in some ways and retrogressing in others. Honorable Speaker, the role of agricultural extension officers is very crucial. Oftentimes we have asked ourselves how we can engage young people to ensure that we close the generational gap in terms of engagement in regard to farming. Agriculture contributes to around 20% of our GDP, forming a critical sector in the Kenyan economy and employing over 40% of the general populace. It is therefore very important that we are intentional about addressing the key concerns of climate change and food insecurity in Kenya. Honorable Speaker, in the advent of artificial intelligence, with a click of a phone, you can take a photo of a plant that is ailing, and an application can tell you the analysis of what you need for that crop. Therefore, as we speak about agricultural extension officers, let us embody embracing technology and artificial intelligence, ensuring that we give critical support to our farmers so that they can be able to maximize output. Honorable Speaker, we have applications like Tumaini, a Kenyan application, local application by our young people who have acquired the proper knowledge. But unfortunately, because since we devolved agriculture, there is no implementation of the agricultural extension officers. Those brains oftentimes go to waste. Honorable Speaker, it will also be an opportunity to create employment. We know that at this instance, universities continue to offer these courses, but then there's no market absorption for the same because implementation is lacking. Honorable Speaker, the transformation that will be brought by activating agricultural extension officers and ensuring that we now take advantage of social media, of artificial intelligence, will be transformative and will ensure that as a country we have food security. Honorable Speaker, you know, quite a number of members have said that we are beneficiaries of agriculture. We are here because our parents were primarily farmers, and the proceeds they got from farming are what took us through school. What can we say of the next generation, Honorable Speaker, when we have a high population that is learned, but that cannot be absorbed by the market, Honorable Speaker? And we all know the state of the economy in terms of creation of employment opportunities. Honorable Speaker, these agricultural extension officers will help subsidize the cost of production. They will also help in analyzing climate change issues, advising farmers on crop adaptation. Some areas now, what we used to farm back in the day when we were being brought up, can no longer be sustained because of climate change. because perhaps of the change in components of ingredients that are vital to support certain crops due to maybe soil pollution. We have often complained about the misuse or use of harmful pesticides or farmhand inputs that are increasing diseases like cancer, where you find that in a certain area, a locality that is in the village, the prevalence of certain types of cancers are so high, and scientific data has been availed to say that this is as a result of the use of harmful pesticides. When we take advantage of collating scientific data, developing applications, and farmers in the village, even my mother now, who is 60-something years, has a smartphone. These farmers can get critical information that is timely, information that has been analyzed. Because with AI, once you feed information to an application, the analysis is done by the application and you receive advice that is scientifically viable. It is therefore important that we expedite this bill, that we improve on this bill to ensure that it embodies the component of artificial intelligence, so that we can also involve our young people in farming. We can take advantage of the knowledge that they have, given the advantage that they have grown up in the era of social media, where Facebook groups are now even created purposely for farming. So farmers can share reviews, they can share their concerns, they can exchange information, and this has made it easier for us. So we must also tap into that for the benefit of our farmers. Honorable Speaker, as I wind up, these agricultural extension officers will also be able to advise farmers on market expectations so that we have a buyer versus supplier balance. I therefore support this bill, and I urge members to also contribute to enhance it at the proper stage. I'll be giving my contributions in regard to the same. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I support.
Thank you, and well said. Join me in welcoming students from the Honorable Adan. There are 4 people before you, and I'll give them, then I'll give you. So just relax. We have students up there in the Speaker's Gallery from Kajiado High School. Kajiado High School is in Kajiado Central, Kajiado County. Please join me in welcoming them. And we have students seated in the public gallery from Bavuni Secondary School, Nakuru North Constituency, Nakuru County. They all come to follow proceedings this morning. The next to contribute to this is the Honorable Makali Mulu of Kitui Central.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I appreciate the time you've given me to join my colleagues in supporting this important bill, the Agricultural Extension Bill, Extension Officers Bill. Honorable Speaker, when we were young and joined secondary school, any teacher who came to our class would say, agriculture is the main bone of our economy. And those are the days when crops like coffee, crops like tea, crops like varethrum were contributing seriously to this economy in terms of economic growth and also in terms of foreign exchange earner. Honorable Speaker, over time, we have seen this important sector continue declining in terms of its contribution to the GDP of this country. But Honorable Speaker, you realize that if you did an analysis of economic growth in this country and sectoral growth of some of these sectors, you find that, Honorable Speaker, anytime agriculture has done well in this economy, the economic growth of the country goes up, which means agriculture is like the main driver to our economic growth. And that being the case, Honorable Speaker, then it means that we do what it takes to support this sector. Honorable Speaker, the extension officers, when I was young, my mom, despite being illiterate, she was a very good farmer. And up to now, she does serious farming at her age. She's about 87. And Honorable Speaker, I would see these agricultural extension officers coming to our farm. Those days, he used to go carrying some wood and, to measure the terraces and all that. And anytime you saw them, you could see value addition to the work of the farmer. And those are the old days, Honorable Speaker. These days, to get an extension officer, you have to go looking for them. Why are we looking for extension officers? Because over time, the government stopped recruiting them. And to make things worse, Honorable Speaker, the governors have even, and the few who are there are demotivated. They are not supported with allowances to go to the field, never given cars, they are never given even bicycles, they are not given motorcycles. The old days, they would come with bicycles. So, Honorable Speaker, when I